Right, welcome guys, welcome. Actually, I didn't realise that this was going to pop up when it first comes in. I forgot about this. Whenever there's an update to the game, there's like a little bit of a message about what the changes are that have happened. Because I thought I'd play this again because it's this is Field of Glory Kingdoms. We're going to be playing just because there has been some changes, and I've made a little mod for fonts, and I had made a mod for colours, but the colours I've turned off, like from the last message, which is back from here, they've actually made some really good changes to the game, just in what's actually going in through here. So they're making a lot of quality of life changes actually, which is really really cool. Normans won't declare war if they. Okay, I think we just play it. Let's not worry about too much about what's going on through here. There's different things that you can do. They've put in different keyboard shortcuts, which doesn't sound like a lot, but just imagine it's a very very small developer, but God, it's a good game what they've built. So let's get into it. Let's go to scenarios. We'll start completely from scratch. And I think we'll play the expanded campaign, the one that comes with the DLC. So this is a Rajas and Tribes DLC game. There's a grand campaign which is a bit smaller, like about it's maybe 2/3 the size of the map of the expanded campaign. The expanded campaign allows you to play sort of more on the periphery, and also does change some of the game mechanics in the within the game itself as well. So there's some changes, for example, to the Normans in Italy. There's changes to the Normans in Normandy. There's a few little things like that all over the place, and then there's also fairly big changes to, of course, with the new additions across India and then down into Africa. So there's a fair bit of change to that particular campaign. There's also other campaigns as well that you can actually go and play. I think I'll still play the expanded campaign, so I think it's the most awe-inspiring one of the actual game itself. I'll play it on experienced AI difficulty, so we'll just go that way. It doesn't remember your slot. I wish it would. I wish it would be cool if it did remember that. I've got to try to remember to give information about that sort of stuff. We'll just go select. There's nice little tips that come down, like having one extra range unit per melee unit in a battle ensures that they get their stats properly boosted. Yeah, so that's there's a balance to what you need to do when you do come into combat. It doesn't help you to just stack like all knights or something like that. It doesn't. It's very expensive to do it that way, but it also doesn't fight effectively. It does reward combined arms, which is why it's sort of saying to do certain things like that. So the range units, every faction will have them. Some factions specialise in them, so they've got different ways of being with everything. Now, who are we going to play as? And it's funny, when I was just mentioning about the Normans in Italy, the Byzantine Empire's got a presence down through here. This one through here is actually just this is in a notable type faction. This is Italo-Norman. If you have a look at the modifiers, that's sort of where it gets a bit interesting. This one can launch war campaigns. There's a faction modifier. War campaigns allow certain nations to earn extra legacy through warring and raiding. It sort of allows you to set up like a system when you go into war of needing to move very quickly in war, but also you get you benefit by sort of becoming greedy. And so the Italo-Normans down this way certainly have this. These are the mechanics, I guess, that they sort of then play with. So Italo-Norman culture, population unrest value for different religions is decreased by 2. A trade acumen bonus of +1 and commerce bonus of 5%. So they are traders. The Italo-Norman culture back in through there. So this is the Italo-Normans originally came to southern Italy as pilgrims, but were found to be skilled warriors and were soon employed there as mercenaries. A character quality bonus of +10, the reduction in equipment cost by 25% based on conditions, and then bonus of 15 XPs when a unit is created. Okay, so the units come in already more advanced than others. Hi Miguel, how are you going? Saying, hope you're fine. Yes, I am, thank you. Then we've got baronial vassal, Iron Fist rules. So this faction modifier here, stewardship bonus of 5% and standing army bonus of +1. That allows us to have essentially more heavy hitting units in our army. Then we've got you can launch the war campaigns. This comes through the DLC. And then minor Western feudal state. So government modifiers. Minor Western feudal state is a food bonus of 10%, but a health penalty of 5%. And we'll find that most of the others around us will be in a similar sort of way. This is Salerno, which this is just Italian culture, for example. And that's maritime arsenal, actually. So this one here is the Maritime Arsenal of Venice, as a large complex specialising in the production of warships. Okay, so that's what that one actually is near us, or potentially near us. By the way, the game, and one of the reasons I wanted to show this was because there's been some changes to the way that the map looks, so the base map. You can now see very clearly the terrain underneath it, which is great. And so it's sort of, and there's different settings you can actually have to sort of show the various borders. And so I've got this now turned on to a fairly soft treatment, which I think works very, very well. Sort of allows you to sort of see what's going on in the actual map itself. I don't know if I want to play that one. We already start off fairly strong. Back in Sicily, what have we got in Sicily? Sicily is not playable. So this is actually sort of like almost going to be like wildlands. Actually, that is a group there. Various independent armies in through there as well. So they've got an independent army raging down that way. That one there is Spoleto. This is a minor Western feudal state again, same as us. They don't have anywhere near the number of mechanics. So the modifiers will give you an idea of the different mechanics that you then have. Pentapolis back in through there. Palace standing the test of time. Yeah, there we go. Plutocracy. It's interesting the different government types that they do actually have around the place. That's just Tuscany. Lucca. It's Tuscany as well. So Tuscany's got a few. Then we've got Siena. So there's a bit of fragmentation in the top. Then we've got the Holy Roman Empire, basically back up in through here. So this is very, very different again, where there's a whole lot of different modifiers playing as them. We then can go back up into this other side. I sort of don't know. Like, it's sort of, I just wonder whether we're going to have enough to do. Like, if we do sort of declare war back in through there, can we sort of do stuff? I'm just not sure. Oh, you start. How are you going? Florence is a favourite of mine. Does it exist? That's further up, isn't it? I don't know exactly where Florence is. It probably won't be there as a group. I would think it's on this side, isn't it? I'm getting this one right. It's Lucca, Genoa. This is now towards France, isn't it? Back out this way. Over this way is Venice. It's all Venice. Yeah, no, it's not there as a. There may be an area of that one, but yeah, it's possibly. Actually, you can see it there. That's Siena, Tuscany, Volterra, Lucca, Pisa, Parma, Genoa, Pavia, Verona, Vicenza. Just looking at the little areas in the hover up. Venice, Quelia, yeah, Trieste. No, it's on the coast, isn't it? You've got Rome, Capua, Naples. Won't be down this way, I don't think. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's Firenze on the map, near Tuscany, says his star. Firenze on the map. Oh, is it inland, is it? Okay. Yes, it's part of Tuscany. So that's down in the list of other factions. The other factions are not as, like, you've got sort of like your major nations, which have been really like fleshed out a lot and are considered to be interesting to play because of their mechanics. Then you've got the remarkable factions, which are sort of like, these are factions that have a fair few mechanics, but you can see there through there, this one doesn't have a real lot of modifiers going for it. These are just in the other factions, certainly playable. There's a lot of them in there. But, hi Eddie Ballgame, how you going? Saying good morning here. It's morning here too. From Alaska, huge fan of Field of Glory Empires. Oh wow, from Alaska. Well, in that case, you're in the morning from yesterday for me. Today's Sunday for me. Still learning this one, by the way. Thank you for your fonts mod. Yeah, no, it's I've changed it as well. Like if you've grabbed it, I don't know if it gives a notice when you subscribe to it. If you do grab it, but I've just replaced it with one that gets rid of the colours, because the colours have been fixed in the game. So the colour portion of the one I released a few weeks ago is no longer really needed. So it's just the fonts is the only one that I now sort of have got in there at this point in time. Yeah, it's just saying, yeah, the mages are lame. Some of them are fun. Like, they are fun to play. They're different. Like, they're a bit more complex. So anyway, I don't know who to start as, really. What have we got down through here? This is Sardinia, Latin culture. Again, not really. When it's down in this sort of in this colour down through here, they're not the greatest to play with. These are all sort of interesting, but not really all that interesting. I don't know if we're going to get what we want playing as this as the Apulia and Calabria, but I like the idea of it. I think let's just start there and just see how we go. So we'll just play the game in here. We should be a fairly strong culture in terms of combat. You can already see there that the actual forces themselves are already sort of like proto knights, as are the neighbours that we've got. Actually, all the way up through here, they're all pretty. They're all knights on horseback. It does give you a bit of a clue as to what to expect. We've got some sort of lower level spearman type units back in through there. This is not a representation of what the army has. It's a representation of the most powerful unit, I guess, of the army, or the I guess the focus of the army. This can be changed a little bit randomly as well when you do start the game. So you can see there that this one here, for example, doesn't actually. It's got eight units, but it's not going to be a very strong unit, as we sort of see through these little areas, through Burgoyne and through Argou. We're going to have, like, through France, we're going to see a lot of knights, or proto knights. They're sort of early knights. There's France in through there. There's the Normans. So the Normandy is interesting as well. This also can launch war campaigns. It's got a modifier there with Norse roots, and this is a Franco-Norman culture. So this one ends up population unrest due to different religions is decreased by 2, trade acumen bonus of +1, and food bonus of 5%. And then we sort of have other troops that aren't as powerful, and it can be fun playing as those against when you've got neighbours like that are extremely powerful. But I think we'll go down and we'll play the Italo-Normans down through here. So we'll just go down into this one, in this other side. Gameplay, yeah, to begin with, it's sort of, a lot of this is fairly generic. Sometimes there are sort of specific things written in the way to play it, the context. It's a duchy. We're a Catholic Christian, the Italo-Norman. So the ruler is Humphrey of Hauteville. It looks like he's got some pretty good skills in through there. We've got I don't know what these are until we get in there. No treaties. The county of Apulia and Calabria was founded by a family of Norman adventurers, the Hautevilles, in southern Italy in 1042. So that's we're at 1054 now. So it's been about 12 years, and became a duchy in 1059. So it's not a duchy just yet. It would go on to absorb the remaining small Lombard principalities in the area, such as Salerno and Naples. There we are. There's Salerno. So we've got, and there's Naples. All right. So and expelled the Byzantines from Italy. There we are. There's the Byzantines in through there, after taking their last remaining foothold of Bari in. So that would be Bari. Yep, that's Bari there, in 1071. So we're starting off in 1054. The duchy continued to be a thorn in the side of the Byzantines for the remainder of the 11th century, and the Hautevils ended up playing a prominent role in the Crusades, which began in 1099. In 1130, after Sicily was conquered from the Arabs, the realm was renamed the Kingdom of Sicily through the ducal title. So, although the ducal title was still used occasionally by the heir apparent to the kingdom. Yeah, okay. So let's just play as them. Let's just get into it. So we just read that bit of it. We've got the gameplay about keeping our treasury in order. Stabilise your authority. So if it's negative, consider appointing peers of the realm as province governors. We'll definitely do that anyway. Bear in mind that authority is challenging to gain and easy to lose. Authority is really the key to the game. So we do need to sort of be mindful of that. It's also important to be mindful of your neighbours and exploit opportunities to forge relationships or treaties. Once your indicators are mostly positive and you have a capable army, consider you might be your first target. Remember that claims are typically made against nations with whom you have poor relations, so you may need to relinquish some claims and insult a few people to make room for new targets. While being high in authority is desirable, it becomes with drawbacks, such as losing more authority with certain actions, blah, blah, blah. That's okay. If in doubt, consolidate your gains and proceed with caution. While fortune may favour the bold, it also rewards the prepared. So that's sort of the way we'll end up playing it. This is the Great Trades and War Campaigns. So the Great Trades is not something we get to play with, but we do get to play with the war campaigns. So the war campaigns are a powerful tool for tribal and nomadic factions and a few privileged settled nations, allowing them to urge legacy points, which is sort of the scoring in the game. It's not actually really all that important. It's the other things around the legacy points is what I'm more interested in. So if your nation is eligible, a button featuring a scimitar crossed with a sword will appear in the nation panel. You then select 1 to 4 non-allied regions as objectives. All war goals must be set before the campaign begins. So we've got cards to play for this. Each campaign lasts up to 16 turns, divided into 4 phases of 4 turns. The faster you conquer, the more legacy points you earn. So it's a 16-turn war, essentially. At the end of each phase, unfulfilled war goals lose value. A campaign that is too ambitious may fail to generate rewards, while a modest campaign forces you to wait 16 turns before launching another. So declaring 4 war goals. The maximum will make neighbouring nations suspicious, worsening diplomatic relations. However, if all objectives are achieved, a special bonus is awarded. Important to get detailed rules about these 2 features. Go to the corresponding panel and click the button representing a question mark above it. So in most panels there will be a fairly detailed help file in-game. Close this panel and no puppet remains. Okay, so we're now playing as Appalucia and Calabria. So the way that then works is that we'll start off with two of the regional decisions will be declare war goal. So we start off with those 2. We can wait for more of them to come. So this is declare a region of a non-allied nation as a war goal. This will automatically trigger a war campaign on the following turn. The authority cost of the war declaration is not altered. The richest and best defended regions yield more legacy. Declaring 3 or more war goals may alarm your neighbours, and conquering 4 war goals will grant you a significant authority bonus, which is actually, if we can get 4 together and then go crazy with it, that means if we can do it within the time, we're then going to end up with an authority bonus. And authority, as I said before, legacy is the scoring of the game, but it's not really important. The important thing is your authority. I might try to even drill down a little bit with that one, because that is just so important. What else did we get? Some of these are sort of a bit random. Call to arms. So the Ost army needs to be mustered. Now, each local lord must prepare a contingent of troops for the coming war. The targeted region will get 200 equipment points received after the next recruitment phase, but a penalising modifier will be applied for the following 12 turns. So region must be owned. So this actually just helps prepare a region. You can see that we've only got 2 there that actually qualify. These 2 in here. Then we've got recruit local units. Always like to sort of know what we can expect to see. So using this regional bonus, you'll be able to get between 1 and 4 provincial units, depending on their strength, even if there is no formed province here. These units will not be mercenaries, in contrast to the ones recruited through the recruitment queue. So this is actually sort of where we end up with getting mercenary units from our local area, but they're not going to be mercenaries. So region must be owned, and there must be a friendly leader, which we've got our army. in there as well. So with at least one total ranking, attack and defence. Then we've got recruit non-standard units. So these actually will then be different depending on who you're playing as, but in this case, non-standard units are very diverse and range from specialised troops to elite guards to fighting slaves or brigands. So this decision allows the recruitment of early spearmen, early levy crossbowmen, heavy crossbowmen, light javelinmen, or light archers. So this is not going to add to the knights of the army. So that's not going to be something that we like. It's going to be. It would be good to flesh things out. Must be a friendly leader in the region, so we can only again just play it where the leader actually is. Let's come back to these decisions. These decisions are critically important. Actually, that's interesting. We only have a maximum of 12. I think, like, depending on who you're playing as, this will change a little bit over time. Like, not over time, but it'll change. Like, we have to use these more often than, well, we have to make sure that we don't go over 12. Otherwise, they'll start to drop off. So we can either sell them or use them essentially. So call to arms. I'm hoping that I don't need to really go and use that one. I'm sort of hoping that I'll be okay with what I'm doing. All right, let's go and see what we can then go and do here. So if I go and click on where we started off, you can see there that we've got like this one. We do actually have 3 of the various locations, but we don't actually have Bari. So we've actually got, this one is, so we've got the 3, 1, 2, and then 3 in that region. So we control those, which gives us, because we control more than half of the actual units in the actual region, we end up getting this is the Apulia region. So I can actually appoint a governor into here. So I'll just read a few more of the comments. Pawns the Sira saying, try raising a goblin army and conquering your neighbours with a goblin invasion. So Sever's saying, how goes the Normandy run this far? The Normans in Italy, that is. Yeah, no, we've literally only just started, so we're sort of just bouncing into it. Hi J-Bay, how you going? So when I see Italy in games like this in CK3, the first thing I think of is reforming Rome. Yeah, well, it's one of those things. The papacy is actually is separate, and so the papal states are not playable. I don't know if you can. I think you can still take them over, but there's sort of like different rules that happen when that actually does happen. Maybe that'll happen with us. I'm not sure. Anyway, so we've got this region through here. What about these guys? They're also, we've got 2 regions that we essentially control. This is also just a four province region, and the last one that it wants is Salerno. So Salerno in through here. Now, it doesn't mean that it has to have it, but that's one that it does actually want. So initially, I'm just going to build up these different areas, get them under control, and so that everything's sort of thumping along quite nicely. So having a look at this one, we've got the open slots, the amount of building slots we have, which is based on population and and sort of opportunities that we end up having with the various locations. This just gives me a summary of all of the. It's going to be quite handy to sort of see what's going on through here. But this one here, we get a summary of the various populations and what they're doing. So we have like peasants working the farms. We've got workers essentially sort of doing the sort of more skilled trade work. We've got priesthood through this other side. There's a few other columns in here as well which we're not seeing, and then we've got the nobles. Now there's also a military tab in there and a commerce tab back in through here. So they're not haven't been shuffled. They will shuffle around over time. So they don't label where they are. They just put the pops ultimately where they actually are. So we'll come back into those fairly soon. So Potenza, which is this one through here, has actually got 5 open slots that can be then built. We'll have a look at each of these locations. I might do a bit of a deepish dive, I guess, into how the game actually sort of does work. Now we're seeing a lot of different things. Maybe what I'll do is I'm just trying to think of the best way to start showing the game off. You can play it superficially as well. Like, you don't have to sort of do deep dives into things, but you will be wanting to put a governor in charge of different locations. But we probably sort of just need to get a bit of a feel for what we've got and how things are sort of then working. So our money situation, I don't need to really think about this all that much. That will sort of make its own, that will come good itself. So as we sort of start to put governors in. And the manpower, plus 10 manpower, not great. So we'll be wanting to try to get a bit more of that. Back over through here, we've got metal production, which 2 is fairly low. So we would like more of that if we could. And then this is the legacy. Again, not really going to impact us much during the actual gameplay. And then the authority, the all-important authority back in through here. We want to get as much in this one as we possibly can. So we are getting a planned authority change of 0.8 per turn. So that our domain size, we've got a negative 0.2. We'll fix that up with governors. The special structures, we get 1 extra in through there. The current domain size is 7. Required domain size for realm change, to sort of go up into a different realm, is 12. The maximum domain size for authority gain is 6. So we're actually 1 over our authority, like our domain size. The domain is a province, like it confuses the words province, domain, region. They sometimes can be used they can intersperse different ways. And I sort of, when the game was first developed, I was beta testing, and that was one of the feedback I gave, is that I found it confusing using these different terms in different ways. But they had a reason for it, and so I thought, okay, look, if there's a reason, there's a reason. But I'm going to be getting it wrong as to whether it's provinces or what it might actually be. Now, one thing you'll notice is that as I go across these, while we can actually look at the overall sort of region area that we're sort of talking about, the collection of different provinces. So again, I may be having that completely the wrong way around. This is so the provincial unit. Maybe the province is the actual group of regions. That may be sort of the way it sort of works. Or domains. I'll try to call them domains and provinces. So the province is these 4. The region, the domains are essentially the various individual little slots in through there. When we see this, we can then sort of see that if we ended up using the card that we have, let's just go back to our cards again. If I used recruit local units, using the regional decision, you'll be able to get between 1 and 4 provincial units, depending on their strength. Provincial units are mercenary type units. So if I go back into here, these are going to be Italo-Greek mercenary foot, and so these are essentially going to be a bit of a lightly armed force. If I go back into the military, we'll actually sort of find that one floating around. So these are actually the mercenaries back in through here. And if I left click for details, I mean that's now sort of actually has been sort of allocated there. These are going to be mercenaries, so infantry mercenaries. They've only got a power of 5 and a movement of 5, so they move fairly well, but the actual power overall is rated at 5. The bonuses that they have is they're a skirmisher. They add extra fatigue margin of 2 against enemies when they fight against them. They've got 5 attack, 4 defense. They don't defend all that well. 2 hits and 3 effectiveness. So they've got like a total of 5 hit points essentially. Range defense of 4. The siege value of 3. That's actually pretty good. Siege resistance of 0. So they do help with sieges. The food usage is 0.6. So I'm not going to be worrying too much about food as well. Now, some of these we're not going to be able to build, like the raw spearmen we can. Actually, it looks like we can. We can even get sort of like sergeants and things fairly early. These will all have different roles. Like this one here, for example, we saw that one is a mercenary. There's sort of major selections in the actual army itself. This is a levy spearman, so this is a raw early levy spearman, and this will be the classification here. When you see this symbol with the silver, it's heavy infantry, but it's also a levy. Levies don't really level up, and so these are, you bring these in for fighting, and then they sort of once they're done, you then release them again, or you can release them. They can still be part of your standing army, but they're not really they're not a core part of your army. They're usually easy to recruit and easy to then sort of let go of. And you can see there, this is actually how if we go back to the mercenaries, what these do is these cost 24 gold to bring them in, and nothing else except for a little bit of equipment. We have to give them a little bit of equipment. Once we've brought them in, It's just 12 gold per turn having these mercenary units in our army. I'm just going to grab myself a drink of water. Be right back. Saying we should just use counties and duchies instead of what they use. Yes, it is confusing in terms of the terminology. So if you are extremely rich when you, like as a faction you're playing the game with, you'll be wanting to use mercenaries. If you're not, like most of the factions, you're not going to be wanting to use mercenaries. So if you go across to the other one, you can see there that this has got a power of 5, and again, it's got different sorts of stats about the actual unit itself. If we go to the early spearmen, he's got an attack of 6, a defense, so these are more defensive at 7. They've also got the same 5 sort of hit points that we have, but in the opposite way. These have got 3 hit points, but effectiveness of 2. Essentially gives you 5 hit points. Range defense of 6, so they do defend well because they've got swords, they've got shields. Their siege value is only 2, siege resistance is 2, so they actually can help us with protecting places that are under siege. So the assault attack with 1, defense of 0. That is, I'm not sure, that's actually if you're assaulting during a siege. And again, they use the same food usage as the other ones. What they've got is they're actually going to be clumsy. So these are got an attack penalty. So their attack will go from 6 to 4, and a defensive penalty of 2 as well. So the defend will go from 7 to 5 if they're in forest, swamp, or mountainous regions. So they only sort of work well in more sort of flat type regions. So this is where seeing the terrain on the map is quite important. So they're going to be okay out in these sorts of locations, but not in here where there's forest. So that's what they do, and you can see that this also is a charge breaker. So charge breaker level 1, 3 times this level as a bonus against charge rolls. So active only in open, arid, and steppe terrain. So it has to be open. But if I hover over this one through here, that's a hill, that's a hill, that's a plain. That plain is open, so that would be where they would be effective against horses in an open terrain like that. The other thing that they then actually have is what the cost is for them. So you can see they're 24 and 12, exactly like the mercenaries, but these are more powerful than the mercenary units that we sort of saw there before. So that's for money. Then in manpower, it's 30, but it's then 10 for every time you every turn. You're then going to have to give up 10 of your manpower. Now we've got plus 10 at the moment, so we could afford to get one of these units, and then we also have two. We have 2 metals and with another plus 2 per turn. Again, we're only getting plus 2 at the moment, and then it costs the 36 equipment to just bring them up. So the relative cost of keeping them in the field is reasonably high, and simply because they don't really sort of expand or do anything sort of special. They're not going to be all that great. So that's actually. Initial bonus experience points of 15 is what they also then pick up as well. I think all of them get that. Yeah, that's because of what we end up playing as the Italo-Normans. All right, so the next one we have is sergeants. These are different again, and you'll see there that this has got like a different symbol down through here. So we've now seen mercenary, we've seen levy, and we're now seeing this is cavalry, and it's a standing army unit. Standing army units are core army, so these typically are fairly expensive to bring in, but they do level up over time. And so the experience that these ones have, this will also have that bonus of 15 experience coming back through. So this is a standing army unit. You only have 9 of these at a given time. You already have 4 in the field. They can easily gain experience. Losing 1 means losing some authority, though. So these are your critical units. And so you bring these around, and we can have a total of 9. Typically, we get one extra one because of the faction that we're playing. We'll have a look at that in a little bit more detail. But you'll notice the others don't actually have that little symbol on the side there. So this is, we have a limit on how many of these we can bring in, because these are typically quite powerful. This one's actually not, but typically they are. So if you have a bit of a look, this is the global approximate estimation of their unit efficiency in open field battle. And we can see there that and these ones move high at 8, these move at 4, I think, yeah, and these are 5. So just having a look at the difference between them. So with the sergeants, these are sort of like early knights. Attack of 6, defense of 4, so they're not great there, but the actual hit points of 4 and effectiveness of 3 means that their hit point totals are 7. The range defense of 4, they've got a flanking maneuver in through here. I don't think it's going to show us exactly what that means, but it does mean that in combat, these will tend to be out on the outer edge of your army, and if you have more units in your army than what an enemy does, and you have the area to operate for flankers to work, they will be able to do serious damage on the edge of combat. That doesn't work, for example, in forests, but it does work everywhere else. Experience level 1 and food usage, they use 1 food. These have got different modifiers as well, like charge. If the unit charges, will raise the combat value by 1. In addition, the melee loser suffers with this extra damages. So this is only, again, active in open terrain. But this one is also then countered by what we saw through here, which is the levy spearmen with the charge breaker. So if they do charge, like the attack will then go up to 7, except if it's going up against a charge breaker, where it's will then sort of nullify that particular roll. In this case, you'll then sort of see it's also then got well armoured, so ability level 1, so 25% chance per level to not receive the first damage incurred in melee. So steady prevents effective loss, while armoured prevents hit loss. There we go. So it's whether it comes off the effectiveness or the hits. So this one is well armoured. So steady prevents effectively, while armoured, prevents hit loss. So that'll be hit points. Then we've got ungainly. So this is an attack penalty of 1 and a defensive penalty of 1 in forests, swamps, and mountainous terrain. So again, not all that effectiveness in the in forested regions, which you'd expect with it being knights, like on horseback cavalry. So then we go through, this one costs 62, but you'll see that it says money cost increases with each active unit of this type. So it goes up by 10% to actually bring them in, to bring in the same type of unit over time. So these standing units tend to be done this way, where there's like an ongoing cost. Gives you a plus 15 in through this other side. 18 manpower with only plus 5 to sort of bring them in, keep them in the field. See, these are relatively cheap to keep in the field. Usually it's a fairly expensive cost, but then relatively cheap to keep a standing unit active. In this case, we've got the cost of 10 metals with only plus 1 required each turn. And so that's the sergeants. These aren't all that strong. Then we go into early spearmen, but for this one we need to have a rudimentary fort, a rustic ringwork castle. We need another level of castle somewhere in the region to be able to then bring in the early spearmen. These will be more effective. Like these are good to actually have. These are also standing army units. So this is like a standing army spearman as opposed to the levy. You can see that it's only got a 6-7 attack defense. This one here has got the same stats in through here, but this one has got a 7-7 attack defense back and through this other side. So these are a next level. Then we've got the peasant militia. This one can only be done through a peasant's roundup. This is going to be cheap as anything. This is going to be another levy, a skirmisher levy, and these are really cheap to bring in. So 4 money, 10 manpower with two upkeep, and then sort of 6 through there. So if we need to flesh things out, we can just round up peasants, but we need a peasant roundup to be able to do that one. Then we have the 3 different types of knights, or early knights we can then get to bring in. This is early French knights and sergeants. And so this one here has got an attack power as opposed to an attack power of 11. This one's coming in with 20. So this is a global and approximate estimation, in through there. Again, these are going to be standing army units. But to bring these in, we need, again, rudimentary fort, rustic ringwork castle. One of these, just one of those, is what we actually require. So we'll start to sort of aim for that. So to bring that one in, then we've got these as early city knights. The French knights are going to be extremely strong. So these have got, like you can see, they're much better armoured than the others that we sort of saw in through there. And that's reflected in the game itself. This one here is very steady, so ability level 2, 25% chance per level to not receive the first damage in melee. They're clumsy, they're devastating charge again. So this one actually increases their combat value by 2 if they do get to charge, if they're sort of out in the open. And yeah, so that, anyway, that's sort of where they are. Again, these are fairly expensive, 190 to bring these in with plus 33 per turn. And then the food usage goes up a little bit with these. When we look at the early city knights and sergeants, these are also fairly strong, but they're not going to be as, actually they are up there actually with the French knights. I didn't think they would be. So they're these ones also require the same buildings that we sort of see in through there. These are also standing army units, and again fairly expensive to maintain. And then we have the early knights and sergeants back in through there. They're also 26s as well. So these are all pretty much the same type of unit all the way through. This one here costs a lot more to bring in, maybe because we've already got a few of these. We'll see what we've got in the actual army itself. But anyway, that's they're the different forces we can then bring in. Again, we just need to get a fort somewhere in that location. Each what are we calling this again? Each collection of domains, each sort of region, or I think these are called regional units. Each region will have a potentially a different sort of way of bringing things in. Certainly the mercenaries will be different. So if we go back up into here, where we've got this sort of region already under our control, we're then going to see that we're going to have pretty much the same deal in through here. These ones we can, actually this unit is too costly for the nation's remaining resources, but that we must actually have, we're not getting the same warning that we had there before about the needing to have, like in this case here, this region can't produce them because it doesn't actually have one of those forts. So one of the locations we have in here will actually have the fort. We just don't have the resources to do it yet. So we can bring them in, which is great. So the sergeants, we'll probably avoid bringing sergeants in, and we'll just start to make better use of these more high power units. And these are all going to cost us, as you sort of saw through there, we've got enough there. 24, we don't have enough metal. That's the problem we have. And equipment is going to be, it's sort of specific to the area. The equipment it's so far is 0, so we need to bring the equipment up. That's where we could actually make use of that other card to raise the equipment if we needed to. So at the moment our metal is also not producing enough metal to even bring another one of these units back in. So the irregular javelinmen, this is going to be a, this is actually just a levy unit. So this is going to be like our main, when we have a look over through here as well, the mercenaries are pretty much the only real sort of skirmisher type unit that we end up having. And whereas over through here, the skirmish unit that we end up having is a levy, like an irregular javelinman, fairly cheap to bring in, does cost us a little bit of manpower every turn, but we're going to need to have a fair few of these in the army just to flesh out the way that we attack. So these are going to be useful. Yeah, so irregular javelinmen would be nice to have sort of like irregular, small groups of archers, but these will be fine. And then we've got the raw early levy spearmen, the early spearmen back in through here again as well. These are the 12 fours. These are standing army units. Then we've got the sergeants, and then we don't need the peasants round up again to get the peasants in. But these irregular javelinmen may be what we require. Let's have a quick look at our actual standing army to see what we've got. So in this case, we actually have like a number of different things that we're looking at through here. We've got 2 of the early knights and sergeants back through this other side. So there's 2 of those, which are going to be fairly powerful. Then we actually have some early spearmen, some defensive spearmen. These are also standing army units. These are standing army units. Then we actually have some levy raw early spearmen back in through here as well. So these are going to be costing us a little bit as we sort of bring things through. And then we actually have 3 of the irregular javelinmen. I would have liked more of those, So these were something we probably will be needing to bring in, I think, at some stage. But that is our actual army, and they're under the command of Wimund de Beck is the guy in charge, who has the maximum offensive and defensive ratings. He's also a builder if he's sort of in charge of the region. In this case, if he was in charge of a region, he would get an infrastructure bonus of 2% and a trade acumen penalty of 2. So that's his actual role is as a builder. But let's actually not do anything with those. Let's just go back out to the actual region itself and appoint governors. So our governors will come from, this is Duke Humphrey, back and through here. And if we go into the actual court and see who we've got. So Humphrey looks like his health is a bit low. No, it's good. It's good health. I thought there was sort of showing it was poor. Everyone else's health looks to be excellent. The way it works is you've got your leader through here. I'll just go back to loyalty. So this is you've got your leader. You've got their spouse. This is Dame Mart du Pontetorf is your spouse. These will be sort of random. So it's not historical. It's sort of a bit more ahistorical the way it sort of does work. Yes, if saying a 2/2 general is nice. Yeah, it is very, very nice actually. So that's going to work. Hi Grognode, how you going? And Heart of Mithril and von Schweinhut saying, evening my lords, is this Mont St. Michael near Tunisia? Looks weird for a Muslim settlement. Looking back through the comments on YouTube, so sort of saying the most important actual appointing the governor. So I think 1600, the most important is actually appointing, I'm not sure what you mean by 1600, sorry. If that means how long I'm 16 minutes in, maybe, I'm not sure. So Ilavata is saying, love this game, just like its predecessor. It's very hard to actually sit myself down and play this. Probably be easier during autumn or winter. Yeah, plus my progress is just as slow as the actual historical events as I keep exporting all of my battles. I do too, I love it. I love exporting the battles out. That's one of the things I like with being able to play it on my own. Like this is, I can do whatever I feel like, you know, like it's, I'm not really, I don't have to show off anything in particular, so I can just go and meander my own way, which I do like. I do prefer playing the battles out, unless they're really, really simple. I do prefer playing them out in Field of Glory 2 Medieval. Okay, so Brian is then sort of saying, is the goal generally to conquer territory, or are there other objectives? The goal really is to manage your family a bit like Crusader King. So you're still trying to keep it's a bit of a simulation. The goal ultimately is to get the highest legacy. That's actually what the goal of the game is, but it's not the way that the legacy doesn't really have much impact as you play the game. So if you're trying to get to win the game, then it's legacy. If you're otherwise, you're just really just playing a simulation, which I enjoy. I prefer the simulation sort of side of that. So the goal can be to conquer territory, but then you have to be careful. Like there are limits to how much territory you can conquer, and we're already over our limit at this point in time. I'll explain how that all works and why you do want to sort of work within the framework of what you've been given. And so Ilvata is saying that it depends on the nations you play, but typically the goal is to advance your faction via authority, influence, and yes, sometimes military expansion. So Certus is in saying the game goal is to win with legacy, which can be gained with lots of ways, but mostly you need to expand to get enough 2 times, 3 times the next highest. How much you need or want depends on your play style. And so Certus is saying 1338, the small helmet below the picture on the unit the unit tells levels and XP from the start. Anyway, we're sort of outside of that now, so I'll keep on sort of running forward. Small helmet below the picture of the unit tells levels. Okay, right. Okay, yeah. No, I think I did show that one actually. That's all fine. Okay, so anyway, let's continue on. So what's with Humphrey? He does have a wife, and he also has a courtesan, like a concubine. So she's 21. These don't often have much bearing in the game. Also, females are more to do with marriages, so you can actually sort of have royal marriages, whereas the males, like it, was a very patriarchal society back then. So we end up with essentially like a group of like the sons will tend to inherit they'll become your heir. So it looks like and free in through here, which is at age 14, is actually has got sort of already some pretty good skills in through here. Turbot in through here is age 3, but he's our heir, so he's the heir to the realm. So he's 14, so he's getting up there. Back through here we've got relatives, 6 relatives. We've got a brother back in through here. We don't know what their loyalties are. These are a bit unknown. Then we've got another brother in through there. This one's age 24, 17. A sister, age 26. And we have another sister, age 24, with low loyalty. And if we just go back across the other page, we've then got a uncle. This is with loyalty of 38, so low loyalty there as well. Good administration, good military, good piety actually. So he's someone that we probably want to have in charge of of one of the areas. He's a landowner, so food bonus of 10%, but a taxation penalty of 10%. So he's sort of skimming a little bit off the top. I don't mind that so much. Like just to have him with the administration and military, there are 5. He'll be good. And then we have another uncle down through here, unknown loyalty, but his military is 0. Administration is not too bad, but he's a siege expert. So he's got an offense, defense of 1 each. And so if he does conduct sieges, he gets a siege bonus of +2 each unit in the stack. But we're not going to have different armies. We're just going to have the one army. Then we actually have other nobles. We've only got 4 of them in the court. So this is actually our main general. So he's sort of leading the army. Then we've got this is Rotger back through here. Age 24, 353 is his sort of skill set. Then we have this one through here, good offense, 333, and then we have a 024. Administration is I always weight more highly as anything else. So our best is actually going to be this uncle, so Richard de Saciel. If we just go back out again, the others, this one is a 4, that's a 1. So really the one uncle is by far the best. We have the other uncle with 0 military. Now that won't matter too much, but we've got 3 in through there. So we don't have great, what about our brother? 4, 5 is good. So this one here will actually end up, this is a patron of the arts, so global legacy gain from population education increased by 20%, but a commerce penalty of 15% in through there. So again, he sort of, like when he's in charge, the money does go down. So in both instances, they're going to be skimming off the top with their uncle, and he's going to be giving too much money away. This is the brother, but we'll put them into the different roles. So I will just go across. So I've got that one selected through there. Let's just go and appoint the peer of the realm. Before we get started with that, I'll just show a few other little things. What we want to do, this is the overview that we actually end up having. If we go to the summed abilities, this is important to sort of know what's going on through here. Now, what we need to do is we need to sort of, it's mainly going to be in this right-hand column, but we're going to have like different bonuses we end up having are in through this other side as well as over this side as well. So transport ship level of 0, military expertise of 1.63. So the higher it is, the bigger the bonuses you get in leadership and troop training, which it means we sort of start off fairly strong. Unit roster bonus, so from 1052 to 1152. This is the years range where your current unit's national register is valid, factoring bonus wars. If you have any, you can get bonus. Yeah, so I won't worry too much about that one through there. The non-dynastic character limit of 4. That's the other group that we actually have on our books. The other nobles. The bonus of 15 XPs when a unit is created, which is what we have as playing as these Normans in Italy. Retinue allowance of 10. Now that means that we basically don't pay for the first 10 units that we have, the 10 most expensive. And then we've got the current number of standing units is 4, and then the maximum number of standing units is 9. Now we have one extra bonus, which is counted in there. I don't think it's going to show us in what's actually happening through that one through there. But playing as the realm traits, you see you've got standing army unit bonus of +1. So we're getting +1 from that one. Oh, these are the skills that he has as well, backstabber. So authority penalty for declaring war against a nation which you have no claim, decreased by 50%. Surprise attacker can move into the territory of nations with less authority on the turn war is declared. So he can sort of that's useful to know, and decentralised. Infrastructure points allowed per authority spent through the edict is lowered by 50%. Yeah, we won't worry about that one so much. So anyway, that's going to, but the summed abilities is always a good place to sort of start having a look to see what your limits actually are. So our army at this stage, when we had a look at the army, was 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I can actually bring in one other unit and not really have to pay much for it. I paid less for it, is the way it sort of does work. So I can actually have like something that doesn't really cost a lot of money. So if I go and have a look at this one through here, we'll see there that the projected money income, so the regional commerce of minus 21, population taxation, but there's nothing there about the army. We're not paying for the army. And so even if I brought in 2 units, it'd be one of these cheaper units that would end up draining away the army, sorry, the money. But when we have a look at this one through here, you've got the this is regional manpower of 6, intrinsic production of 4. So we end up with a total manpower in through here of 10. So we're not actually paying for any through there. So so again, because we've got these levy units, so we, the national levy that we've got, so so that's all okay. Plus 10. So the metal production, again, we're not seeing any actual, we're not seeing any negatives with our military at this point in time, and then there will be sort of like other equipment things as well. But that sort of means that we can really bring one more in for free, which is actually good going. So at the moment, we do actually have this one is Italo-Norman mercenary knights back into here, the provincial. This is one of these 20 units again. So I could actually play one of the cards to bring one of those in and pretty much not have to pay anything for it. These are going to cost me nearly 500 if I actually built one of these. So so because these are mercenaries, and then 64 per turn. But if we play the card here, so what I want to do in through here, I can actually go in and play, I've got non-standard units back in through here, but I've got the local units. So this will actually then, it should bring in one of those knights into our, if we play it there. If the knights were in this region through here, I would move the army down and then play the card there. But I don't want, if I just go and right click, I'll just get rid of that for a second. If I go to this region, all we would get is one of these, essentially a skirmisher unit. Whereas if I go to here, I get a very, very powerful knight unit. So I think I'll still play that card right now. So let's go in and recruit local units. So we'll go and you've played recruit local units in Andria. Its cost will be deducted once it triggers, so it's going to cost me 100 money to play that card, but that's certainly worth it. So if I start to recruit non-standard units, that's just going to get expensive. Like in terms of they're going to go over our levy amount, which means we have to then start to pay for it. So play that card there. Now, as far as the people in charge, this is, if we go and have a look at the actual locations, so we do actually have the rustic ringwork castle. And so if I go and click on that one, this one does actually allow you then to build, will unlock early French knights, sergeants, early city knights and sergeants. This is very, very important. So this one little building here really does open up a lot for us for our military if we need it. It's got good siege resistance, 2 walls, so it's actually fairly strong. If I go and click on that one again, we can then sort of see the bonuses. They can eventually sort of expand into a barracks, so allows the allowed by the rustic ringwork castle. So we can end up with getting sort of even more things coming back in through that other side. If I go and click on that one, we can then sort of see what the bonuses will then be with what it does do. And so if we just go back there again, and we can then go down to the shell keep, which is level 2, and then so level 2 can then sort of go across again to then go to a shell keep with a stone bailey. Don't know if it will go to a level 3, will it? No, it's only going to go to level 2. But these will then have the other different sorts of bonuses as well as things sort of develop. I love this as well, this new way of looking at the buildings in the game. Anyway, that's what we have back in our capital. We have a fair few different things here already. Like we've got huddled shanties, we've got nobles' residence, the domain court. This is actually our main. This is mainly where we sort of are operating from. We've got the an anchorage, so we get a little bit of money that way. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just go back out to the and sort of let the governors look after things sort of locally. So in this case, we're just going to go across to appoint the governor. So our best one is going to be Uncle Richer. So we're just going to appoint him. You'll see it's only the males that get shown up in this area. So I'm going to place him in that role. So he's now going to sort of be in charge there. And he will then give other bonuses. So we should start to sort of see other things now kick in as he starts to, as his skills start to sort of play a role in through here as well. So he'll sort of end up doing a bit better. What we'll also then go and do is we can sort the way the population works. I tend to just leave this on balance. If you do this one here, this deactivates the automated population management. But by having him in charge there, I could say, okay, look, just automate it in a balanced way. And we'll see they'll move from agrarian and sort of like the craftsman in some of them will now move across into the commerce. So if I just go and click on that one through there, you can see there we end up with in Andria, in the actual capital, they don't have anything left in craftsman in the infrastructure. They're moving it all into money, so they're doing more with the money in through this other side. We're going to 33 per turn now, and down in through here, he's actually just moved some of the farmers across to or shuffled them into areas where there's been a reshuffle of forces to bring them across into more money as well. No change in the nobles over here or the religious, like the religious groups, the monks and so on and so forth. So they're sort of staying where they actually are. We can also do the same thing with buildings. So I'm just going to go and do a balanced focus. So we'll focus on buildings for the less present structures category-wise. I can sort of go and tell them to try to focus on more stability and loyalty, religion. We've got the commerce, buildings and harbours. Actually, that wouldn't be bad. Defensive and recruitment buildings. This is mainly focused on infrastructure buildings and road construction. This one here is healthcare and plague prevention, and this was agriculture. Infrastructure buildings. It will sort of then help with equipment. Metals, I don't think we're not going to have much luck with metals. I'll just go balanced. And so they still haven't built anything in here. What they're using is they're going to be using their infrastructure from here to help build the others. So we've got fallow fields. Actually, mining exploitation, that one through there, is actually going to be good for us. That's going to then give us a little bit of extra metal. So that will be useful. So that's now just automatically looked after. Let's go to the other one back over here. I can go in and override. Like I can go into here and say, hey, well, why wouldn't you build one of the things we actually have in through here? This one's going to give me, for example, the crude smelter will give 2 money and 1 metal. So bonus, I won't worry about these. These sort of come up a bit more randomly. Storyteller, legacy increase goes up. So that's more about the overall score. Commoner cemetery. So this one does increase piety, but we don't really need to do it. Money goes down. I'll leave it where that is. I'll just leave him to do his own thing. He'll chop and change that every turn. Go back across into here again and appoint the other one that we had. So we've got this is our brother. So he's going to be in that particular role through there. So with patron of the arts, back in through the other side again, we'll just go balanced and balanced. So we've got an anchorage that they're building up in through that side, which will give us more money, and then wood cutting as well. So that's going to be good. So we'll end up with some wood. We still have 1 open slot in Reggio. So we're saying it might be a good idea to peek on the authority button and do some fort thing on that province. Where was that? The authority button. I mean, just up in here at this stage. There's no actual button there. You see there that our domain size, we should, by appointing those, we can actually have maximum domain size for authority gain. We no longer, when our planned authority changes have gone from 0.8 to 1.6. So what we end up having by appointing those governors, it's actually given us a bonus in what we can actually then go and do. So the maximum domain size for authority is 12. So we can actually now keep on starting to sort of conquer different units if we wanted to. So, like fort things don't take authority. Hang on, what do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean there, sorry. Under stewardship? I'm not sure what you mean. Is it in here? No, I'm not sure what you mean. Sorry there, Sev. No idea. So use the forward thing to pass when selecting a building, when the building offering, use the forward things. Oh, this one here. That's what you mean. Yeah, we don't have any authority at the moment, but if we had authority, we'd then be able to go and start to structure things in properly. I try not to use this if I can help it, unless it's something that I really, really need. And there's nothing I really need, so I don't absolutely have to have anything in there. We've got enough having this. Otherwise, yes, I would be looking for something to build one of those special buildings to allow me to then go and get the higher level stuff. Anyway, so Chickenook saying, "Holy shit! It's a Daz stream. Glad some stuff never changed. Even I watch them once or twice a year. Well, welcome to the first time this year, possibly." Now, we won't go and start to attack just yet. We'll just get our army set up. I'm a bit concerned that our balance is not great in terms of the skirmishes, but it'll do. Do I bring in another skirmish unit? Just go and I think I'll bring them in, actually. So these are going to cost me 6, 7, and 1. No, I think I'll just stick with what I've got. Just keep with what we've got there. And we'll end our turn there. I don't think there's much else we need to really go and do. Oh, so they were saying the fort tiers usually don't cost authority. Doesn't it always cost you 1 authority to open that screen up and use it? I'll have to have a look. I didn't know that. So we're in the middle of the group. If we end up in through here, this is the high authority factions, and so they end up with an ability to grow properly. We're just a young duchy at this point in time, and so we're sort of in the middle rung, and then at the bottom rung is why we don't want to be spending authority initially. Is we don't want to be starting to get these aging tokens, which will then sort of put you back. So France is a young petty kingdom that has now got 1 aging token, which means it's going to be essentially sort of moving backwards a little bit. It's already got a -8, which means it may have gone to war somewhere, potentially, with what it's doing. Then, yeah, we've got a whole range of different stuff in through here as well. So, -12, Denmark. Wow, Denmark's gone way, way down. Yeah, that's interesting, actually, to sort of see. Then we've got the legacy. This is the score, the overall score. You can see we're right down near the bottom. The Abbasids already start with a hell of a lot of legacy, so we're not going to really be competing on legacy much at all. So that's where we are there. And we have got a couple of you've received a new regional decision, so instill revolt, and we also then have our authority as a nation has been bolstered by the admiral's stewardship shown by the in the Chieti region, +1 authority bonus. Okay, that's cool. So we ended up getting an extra authority. So we've got, we went from 0 to essentially to 2.6, that's what we're seeing up in through there. I don't know if it'll show the 2.6, but we got 1 extra bonus. It was 1.6, but it's showing up as 3 in there at this point in time. So that's all okay. Authority has been bolstered. Yep, that's okay. So we ended up with a little bit extra in through that side, and then we have received a new regional decision in Still Revolt. So this one has now got, we can play this one on neighbouring territories. So by fueling dissent between minor nobles or by arming disgruntled peasants and freemen, this region can be set in turmoil, with a notable lowering of its loyalty towards its rightful owner. Now that's not really going to be something I'm too concerned about, so I'm thinking of actually selling that one off. Call to arms. You're getting the 200 equipment points. We just don't need it just yet, but I want to keep that one around. So I think in Still Revolt, I might just sell it, I think. Yeah, control right click to sell one decision next turn. We end up getting a bit more metal there as well. So I'll actually go and sell that one. So I'm just going to, I've just control right clicked on it to sell it off. So that one will then sort of disappear. I don't think I really need it. Again, I've got to make sure I don't get over that 12. I only get one of them per turn. We'll stay where we are, but now we have the other army. So I'm just going to go and, if I go that way and merge, there we go. So I've just merged that one in. So we now actually have 3 early knights and sergeants. So we're fairly strong. Now we do want to be going in where we've got claims. Let's have a look and see where our claims actually are. Only got the 1, so we're going to need to get more claims. Yeah, we need to get more. Well, let's start to cause a bit of angst with our neighbours. So we'll just go back across into here, go to diplomacy, and so with Vincenzo in through here, that's just a principality. So. You know, if we've got a few different daughters and sisters and things we can actually. So one of your daughters will marry a son of a very important noble. Not here. I don't want to do it here. I'm going to insult the emissary. So insult the emissary, perhaps humiliate them. In the most extreme case, kill 1 or 2 of their envoys. The end result will be the same. This will anger them and please their enemies. If you have no claim to their territory, you might get one. That's what we want. So we want to insult. So we're just going to your observance the crass stupidity of the ruler of Salerno and Amalfi were, while possibly true, have not gone over well there. We also then have Naples. Now Naples is another principality. We sort of see this is Prince Marco. So I want to sort of roll through these if I can. We're going to insult this emissary as well. We want to get claims on this territory. So we'll insult that emissary and do that as well. And the Byzantines as well. So back over here, this is a fractious empire, very, very large empire. And we'll insult that emissary. So your comments on the personal. Now we can always come back and not do this. I think request and our answers. I think if we go back out again, if I go back and select it, go to diplomacy. Oops, hang on. Yeah, I can actually always, I can wind it back if I wanted to, but this is what's going to happen at the end of the turn. So we're going to send that off. I should have done that last turn. Now, is there anyone else that we would like to become more aligned with? What about our cousins back up in Normandy? So this is William the Conqueror. Propose a royal marriage. One of your daughters will marry a son or important noble of the target realm. So the basic acceptance chance is only 12%. We're not neighbours. That's a negative. You'd be the first we signed. Yeah, so our heir is not to be preyed upon. Yeah, okay, final copy. Yeah, so it's not likely to happen. What about France? It's also just 12%. These aren't really suitable. This is another duchy. Oops, hang on. I didn't check that one. Just go back out again. It's only 12% chance there. We are small. Some friends can't be bad too. That's 2% in through there. Basic acceptance chance is 12. So there's the final cooperation chance here is 29%. For as a royal marriage, one of your daughters will marry. Yeah. So this one here, we are small. Some friends can't be bad. You would be you would be the first we sign a deal with 15%. So that's actually sort of it's not very good odds, 30%. Can offer a significant amount of money to steer the relationship between this nation and yours in the right direction. So I'm not going to do that just yet. I think I'll just leave it. I mean, these are sort of potential targets of ours, really. Papal States. We can't offer the Papal States a marriage, of course, so we don't get to do that one. Yeah, I'll just leave that where that is, I think. That will be okay, right? That's fine. So we'll just keep that one going. And again, we won't do anything just yet. We're hoping to secure a claim in here. Would be good. So we don't need to do anything else this turn. I should see if there's anyone that is actually quite friendly with us. So we're going up slowly. We're now at 4, so we're still in the middle rung. We're not in the green. So everyone's just, the AI is just now running through their turn. Behold the audacity of Humphrey of Hauteville, who dares claim that Vincenzo is but a feeble puppet in the hand of their courtiers. So we've got a few different things that have now happened through here. So going back into Salerno and Amalfi, so we're now going to start to sort of see they're going to be starting to not like us very much. I would like to have a claim, but let's just have a look and see what we've got. So sort of scathing insults at Constantine, the Byzantine Empire. I mean, a pig wallowing in the mud. So we're not becoming the nicest people. So there's -10 relationship with them. And it's boldly insulted Marco, ruler of Naples. So another -10 back in through there. They've got reasonably high authority there. You claim so Humphrey has declared Salerno as a rightful. There we go. We got exactly what we wanted. So so we can actually now we now have fabricated a claim on Salerno itself. So we might as well go after. I wonder if we don't do both the Byzantines and this one through here. This one looks a little bit like there's unbreached walls 3 of 3. This is a bit of a difficult one to crack. But we could charge in. We could assault it because it is on an open plain. Not that that's going to help us much. This one here, we have a hill. So let's do this one now. Let's go and do one of the war areas. So we've got the claim, and then what else do we have? You received a new regional decision, spy on nobility. So we can do that one sort of internally. Spy on nobility is, if played against a peer of the realm governing a province, increase your knowledge of his loyalty by 16 to 25 points. If played in your capital region, increase your knowledge of the loyalty of 2 nobles by 26 to 50 points. Your ruler administration will provide some bonus to the roll. It's going to cost me 50 gold to play that card. I don't think I'll worry about it. Now we've only got +1 coming back into here. Yeah, it's a bit of a worry. Anyway, I'll just leave that one where that is. We won't worry about it just yet. But I think it's time for us to declare war. Now we do actually have, what have they got? So yeah, this is the various audacity that was sort of then shown with contempt of our neighbours. But we are a strong force, so we will sort of roll through. This one here has only got 1 wall. That one's only got Naples. Looks like it doesn't have any walls, so that one should be fairly easy for us to sort of then go and smash open. Yeah, I think we'll just go this way. We've only got the 2 cards to play. this this one here is going to take a long time to breach. Once we take these, we've then got Capua back up here. The other option is to go this way, crush that one initially. I think I can get these relatively easily. Let's do our war. Let's do one of these war things that we've got, and just do it straight away. Now that we've got a claim there anyway, that's going to then help. So if we go back into our regional decisions and look at the declare war goal, we've only got 2 of these cards, so we'll get more of them slowly over time. So what I'd like to do here is actually play it there, and again we can see declaring 3 or more war goals may alarm your neighbours, so we'll only do the 2, and conquering 4 war goals will significantly grant you a big authority bonus. So declaring a region of a non-allied nation as a war goal, this will automatically trigger a war campaign. Yeah, it's not really going to, but we should end up, like by having it as one of the claims that we now actually have, that's going to be helpful. So we'll go and place one of the cards there and the other card there. So that is going to be our war. Look, our war is going to be now declared next turn. So that'll be sort of where things actually happen. We can't go off and march in there just yet. So that's not going to be available to us. So we'll just leave everything where that actually is. I wouldn't mind grabbing Sicily as well. We should be able to get on ships ultimately to take that location if we need to. So we still, do we want to start insulting Capua? I think we do. So we'll go back into diplomacy and we'll just go into insult emissary. So just sort of start the process of trying to get more claims out that way. Byzantines will keep on trying to claim this territory. So we'll go back into here and just add another insult. So we'll go and do that one. And so that's our diplomacy done. We don't need to insult that one anymore. Is there anyone else we wanted to insult? I mean, all of these ultimately. We want to claim all of southern Italy for ourselves, but not early. We don't want to be doing it too early. All right, let's see how we go. This is going to be turn 3, and we're going to be at war already. On the warpath. So this is launching our first war campaign. So they're the 2 areas that we need to take. Now the game is a we go system, which means that when it's processing a turn, everyone is moving at different rates. So we've actually now gone down into the bottom rung because it costs authority for us to do this. So we're now -5, which is what we saw happen with France, but we're now in a bit of a dicey situation. We need to finish off this war as fast as we can. So we'll click on OK. A nation has started regressing because of that declaration of war. So we'll war campaign has been launched. So Humphrey of Hauteville has launched a war campaign against his enemy, so Marco. The armies of Apulia and Calabria are poised to strike at the core regions of Naples to subjugate the opposing nation. Some nations can declare war campaigns against others and issue war goals targeting specific regions. Capturing these regions, will earn legacy points. So we'll just keep on going OK. And so we should end up... so there's a 17% chance we're going to receive a disorder token. Not that will matter that much. We're a young duchy at the moment. If we end up with 5 of the negative tokens, we're going to go into a still be a young duchy. See, that's as low as we can go. Okay, so we can't go any lower than that anyway. So that doesn't really matter. If we become a stable duchy, we can ultimately then become an ascending duchy, and then eventually a petty kingdom, which will then give us more. We've got a character force pool of +1. We've got a few different bonuses in through there as well. But anyway, let's just leave that what that is. Okay. insults. The Timarius Humphrey of Hauteville has boldly insulted Giovanni, the ruler of Capua. Back and through there, we've got a few others as well. This is the Byzantine Empire. So we're now -20. We need to have reasons to take them on. So new claim. Humphrey has declared Naples as a rightful domain. There we go. We've got both. We've got both. These are now essentially both claims for us, which is good. You've received a new regional decision, call to arms. Okay, so we've got another one of those. We've got 2 of these now, which I don't really need, but I'll keep it there. We've only got 5 of these left at this point in time, so we're not struggling. The administrative example of Reggio has shown signs of organised stewardship are increasing your own authority. So we get a +1 bonus authority there, even though we're -5. So the authority is, we need to fix this up fairly quickly. Sorry, it was down here, Reggio. Okay, so that's good. Again, we're just going to leave the governors to keep on just building as they see fit. They'll just keep on building away, and I don't have to really think much about what they do. So have a quick look and see. Yeah, everything is now being built. Time to go to war. Okay, so let's now move across, and we need to come sort of smashing through these. Now, I can do a few different things here. I can just move across. You can see there it's going to take me 1 turn to get to there. I can actually move all the way to there in 1 turn, which means we'll fight this one, and then we'll besiege this particular location. This one is a plain, so that's nice and easy for us to fight on. And there's really nothing there at that particular city. So I could actually move there in 1 turn, fighting whatever's left over through here. I could actually go and click on that one, and I won't be able to come back into here. I can actually just move into the territory. Now this one here has got like an unbreached wall 1 of 1. This one doesn't have any walls. So if I move into this one here, I can actually go either into the province, or I can actually go and target the actual city itself and just go and charge straight at the city, which is not a clever idea. I can also target the actual army and go and try to actually follow that army around. So if that army moved to here, we would then try to meet up with it in that location. But I'm thinking I'm going to go to there. Actually, sorry, just right click into there. I can actually still keep on moving across into this other location, which we should then take straight away. But let's just move into there initially, just that one. So I won't do anything. Like we've got 16 turns of this particular war. So we're saying if you've got 2 nobles on provinces, they get random bonuses, authority events. Hang on, if you've got 2 nobles on province, they can get naval authority. I'm not sure what you... okay, yeah, inside the thing. I'll just let that happen automatically, I think. I won't worry too much about it. Yeah, so what Sev's saying there is that if I go back into here and have 2 nobles, but I have to then build another noble, so it's not going to help me there, I don't think. I can't move that one. Actually, I could move the clergy down, but it's not really... No, I can't even do that. No, so he can move across to there to give me help with infrastructure, but at the cost of piety. So I'm going to just keep them where they are. There's really not a lot I can do with that. Okay, so you forgot to move your king's special ability to move in when war is declared. Yeah, actually, I could have done that. That's okay. Actually, we would have saved a turn, which the earlier we can do this, finish off this war, the better. So we're on we're on limited time now. We've now sort of betting on ourselves to be able to roll this one up. Yeah, that would have been good, actually. So, hi Louise, how you going? So we'll end our turn here. They've gone into the city. So they've sort of changed their garrison. How far off are we? We're still a fair way off in the bottom of the group there. So we're besieging them. This siege will last a long time. So I'm going to move straight across now, and I'm going to target this city. So I'm just going to go straight for this. So we're just going to move into the next province. I should have done that in one turn. So we have your new regional decision from peasants to freemen. This is actually a good one. This one will then give us the more talented and useful peasants will be even more productive if they could acquire their own land or workshop. From one peasant to a freeman. So I will actually do that, and I'll probably just do that back in my capital. I'll look at the capital itself. Oops, hang on. Did I already do that one? Yeah, I did already do it there. I'll just double check if that's going to be okay for me to do. Yeah, we don't have as much down that way. About that Reggio. Yeah, we've got a few negatives out through here as well, which we'll have to sort of clean up. We'll have to have a bit of a look at that as well. I think that that'll be okay. Actually, that's a negative there, Badlands. We might start to look at fixing those things up as well fairly soon, I think. What are you saying, Daz? If they're if there's another war, where's the other war? Is there another war? No, it's just us. Sorry, Sev, I'm not sure what you're referring to there. No, it's just us that's war there. So, no, that's okay. Right, anyway, we'll just continue on because we should be able to roll this one up fairly fast. And we'll have to come back and we'll probably, I don't know, I think we'll just go and storm the castle straight away when we do come back. Strongholds in place of influence throughout realms are now a show of might for all to see. We get another +1 authority gain. So we're getting a bit of extra authority coming back through here, which is good. So Sertas is saying freemen should be saved to convert peasants to Catholics, so you can make another priest or noble of your own faith if needed. Oh, look, I'll still just play it. I'm just I don't have I've only got 12 maximum, so I'll be wanting to get more military type ones. So we'll just end our turn there. Yeah, they're building up their army. So we now actually have, this is the army. We've got 10 units. They've got 14 units, and this is a plain, an open frontage of 18. This will be one that if I do go and play it, they'll actually end up having a wider field than what I'll have. I'll show you both. If I go, like this will be then sort of auto-saved at this point in time. If I go and export the battle, I can play it in Field of Glory, or I can just view the battle. So this is like the auto-battler within the game itself. I might show both and then come back and just reload, and then we'll export the battle, because we should ultimately do a little bit better through the export. Now, I'll explain how combat works in the game. If you've got the full width, and you can see down through here, this is an open plain which extends the map all the way out to the far distance. So I should have shown this before we got into here, but it's got like I don't know if there's even more areas that we can sort of see on the outside edge, but the plains are very, very wide. They're going to have some slight flanking against our early knights. Our units should be fairly strong against theirs. It'll be early spearmen versus early spearmen. They've got medium militia there against our guys in through this other side. So these should actually fight all fairly effectively. Then we've got the javelinmen versus militia. That's going to be interesting to sort of see what happens. But if we just go and play it turn by turn. This is the ranged phase where the various ranged units will all then sort of fire at each other, or fire at each different unit. So we've got a couple of units that became tired. Let's just now go and play it. So I will actually play this one out as an actual battle, though, in Field of Glory Medieval, but we'll just go through. They've got a bonus there. Now, this one here is actually defending at 2. Wow, that's actually pretty strong. So they get 2 extra rolls, we get 2 extra rolls. So it's really going to come down to what bonuses we end up getting through with these numbers. But these are much, much better. These ones got tired, so we'll just go and play that one through. That's even. It's a stalemate. So they both basically end up doing nothing. Next one across, we have an advantage here of 2, and we ended up rolling better. So they actually took a bit of a beating. So we've got an advantage here of 1 against their units, but they actually rolled much, much better, and so they sort of destroyed some of the hit points and also the effectiveness. Did a good job there. And almost destroyed them. So these militia have got 6 total of experience and the effectiveness and hit points. And then finally we should roll these peasants up very, very easily. We'll just smash them completely. So we charged in. They're going to have a flanking shot on us. So this will now be a flanking shot. But we still actually overwhelmed them, but we don't do any damage back. So they didn't actually impact us at all because of our knights. We now go the other side. Again, they've got an advantage, but we happen to roll much better than they did, and so we have a stalemate where both sides lose a little bit. This one through here. We have an advantage, so we sort of lose a fair bit there. In this case, we've got the... They've got us 2 advantage, but we're still actually operating. We should be able to, again, smash into the peasants. That's destroyed them. And destroyed them. And then they come back in for another flanking shot. Not going to be effective against the cavalry. And then we do actually have a pursuit phase. We won enough to be able to then destroy them. So that's a successful campaign for us if we wanted that to be the case. We can then just go and end the battle. And so we didn't lose any of our units, but we did lose some of our effectiveness and hit points, whereas they've sort of had a fair few of theirs lost. And continues on playing the game. Still processing. And we've now gone up into the... we've actually gone from right up to the top one because we actually ended up taking that particular location. So that war has been now finished off successfully. So we've now gone into the top rung. We still have still part of the war to finish off. The wise rule of Humphrey of Hauteville is progressing, so peer token. So we've now gone into the top area. But what we'll do is we'll go back and play out that combat again, even though we sort of took that combat. So this is Naples. So it's now we do actually now have that one under our control. But let's just go back in and load in so we can play this same battle out. Pre-battle, is it the one? No, that's not it there. Yeah, that's the one. So I'll just go and load that one in. It didn't actually do the pre-battle. It normally does a pre-battle. I must have to export it out to get the pre-battle one. So just load that one in. So that will then sort of take us back to the start of that turn. So we're now just going to play that turn out, but now we'll actually go and actually play out the battle itself. And because we're on this, we've got the war campaigns running. When we come back, we're just going to go straight in. So I'm going to export this battle out. So we only have 10 units against their 14. This will then take us into Field of Glory 2 Medieval to then play out the combat, which I do enjoy doing it this way. So this is actually now going to go from an auto battler into a tabletop. Okay, we've got this one. So Field of Glory 2 Medieval is very much like Field of Glory itself as a tabletop system, and then they started to make computer games, and so the computer games are really a emulation of the tabletop. So the rules are very, very pure, and so there's all sorts of different things you have to do with this one. So we'll have a bit of a close look at how this one works as well. I love this game. Like this is such a good way of playing combat, just because of the tabletop rules. They're so much more stringent than just sort of random, rules for combat. So Italian-Norman versus Lombards. So we need to basically rout at least 40% of the troops and 25% more than you have lost, or we need to rout 60% of their troops. So if we can be 25% better off than what they are, we have to only get to 40%. But let's just say that we're at say 35% and we get to the 40%, there's only a 5 difference, which means we have to keep on going until one of us gets 60% of their forces routed, which essentially means that it's going to be there's going to be a lot of carnage that will have gone on. So we've got 24 turns remaining. It's a campaign battle, so we'll just go and close this one off. The combat that we're moving into now, this was an open type area, so we should end up with a fairly open plain that we're sort of now operating on. There's not really big hills, but we're a bit lucky here because we do actually have some hills on either side before it sort of extends back down into these tracks, and this is an open ground. Even though there's trees in here, it's not like the woods. The woods are going to be closed off. Other things we're going to see is we're going to have some rough ground in through this other side as well. There's a penalty for us to move into those, and marsh as well is not going to be good for any of our units. So we don't really have any units that are effective in that sort of terrain or this sort of terrain or woods. So we really do want to be out in the open. We've got 3 generals that we can sort of see through there. So it'll tell us if we've got any more that we can then go and add in. But the 3 look like all that we've actually got. So we've got the that there is a sub-general. This is with the early spearman. So he's sort of in charge of the early spearmen in the middle through there. Then we've got the irregular javelin men. These are not really, these are sort of like medium troops. So if we have a look and see what they've got, you can see they're moderately disordered because they're standing in the marsh. These can actually operate, these medium foot can operate in marsh and rough terrain. And I probably will still be just moving them up anyway, so it doesn't really matter where they start. And if I go and press, what is it? Is it I? No, it's control click. Yeah, control click then gives me information about the actual unit, so I can go through each of these different units. So the irregular javelin men, these are medium foot with javelins. Now they're not light foot. Quite often I thought that they were going to be light foot, as in skirmish type units, but these are more heavily controlled. And so medium foot with javelins, troop type medium foot, they've got a negative cohesion test modifier in open versus heavy foot or mounted. So if they fight out in the open against spearmen or against cavalry, they're going to struggle. And so there's going to be they have to then do a cohesion test to see if they become disordered or fragmented. Capabilities, they've got light spear and they've got swordsman at 50%, and that just means that's sort of how they then how the impact of melee phases sort of then operate. We'll have a look at that in just a minute. The troop quality is average. The armour is lightly protected, so they're not very well protected. Current strength of 242 out of 242. Morale disorder. They're moderately disordered at the moment because they're standing in the marsh, and the control status is normal. If we have a look down, they don't do actually, even though they've got javelins, they don't actually do any shooting. The impact phase, when in combat, when 2 units sort of meet in combat in this tabletop, there's an impact phase where they first meet. Once they actually engage and stay together, it then goes into a melee phase. So Cavalry do very, very well in the impact phase, and then can then sort of be a bit more diminished in the melee phase. So quite often cavalry will charge in, do the impact phase, and then bounce backwards again. And so that if anyone then attacks them, it's another impact bounce back. So they tend to, that's the way that a lot of the cavalry in the game tends to work. So they sort of often will charge in, do their damage, and then bounce back out again. But I mean, it's really strong cavalry like what we've got will probably almost just sort of stay in the fight because they'll be doing well in both impact and melee. And so in the impact phase, the light spear, they've got plus 100 points of advantage versus any, unless the light spearmen are charging mounted shock troops. And we'll see what they, I'm pretty sure that our guys are mounted shock troops. We'll have a look at those in just a minute. But so they end up, in the impact phase, they get plus 100 points of advantage. They do relatively well, like in the charging in. In melee, their swordsman, the 50% we sort of saw there, was plus 50 points of advantage versus any mounted, plus 50 points of advantage against foot, unless these are steady and defensive spearmen, or defending an obstacle. Now, the enemy are going to have spearmen, so that's not. So it means that we don't get the points of advantage there. Plus 25 points of advantage against foot, who are steady and offensive spearmen, or defending an obstacle. So, because we're going to be going up against defensive spearmen, is what I would assume, we'll end up with the 25, not the 50, with the swordsman. The armour advantage, up to plus 12 points of advantage versus less well-armoured foot, and there won't be, I don't think, unless they have heavy weapons. Heavy weapons are axes, take up to plus 12 versus less well-armoured mounted, 0 versus artillery or elephants. So this is sort of, I'll show you how this one works when we sort of start to do the actual combat. If you have a look at the, this is actually a, just control click. These are undrilled heavy foot. Heavy foot don't fight very well at all in negative terrain. And again, there's going to be, defensive spearmen, less fragmented or severely disordered, plus 100 points of advantage versus any troops. Troop quality plays in. We've got a general in there as well, which will then sort of give us some advantages. Once they actually are engaged, these are much better during melee, but usually not during impact. And so, so you can see there, defensive spearmen, less fragmented or severely disordered, they get plus 100 points of advantage versus any troops in melee. So they do fight effectively all the time. I won't keep on going on with that one. The cavalry that we end up having, so we've got this one, these are early knights and sergeants. If we just go and click on these ones through here. The troop type is knights. They're unmaneuverable. These are capabilities are knightly lancers. So these are not shock cavalry. These are different again. These are a different category in the game. And they've got swordsmen as well. They're elite quality. They're armoured. And so they've only got 122 strength. And so in the impact phase, knightly lancers in open terrain have plus 100 points of advantage versus any mounted, plus 200 points of advantage against foot, unless these are steady, non-charging pike, offensive spearmen or defensive spearmen. So they do well against most things except for spearmen, and then plus 100 points of advantage versus steady, non-charging pike, offensive. So even if they don't do well against the spearmen, if they don't get the plus 200, they get plus 150, which is still a hell of a lot of points of advantage that they end up sort of getting. Mounted troops in open terrain only, plus 100 points of advantage versus light foot. Bowmen so we end up with an extra bonus against light foot or bowmen or mobs. Troop quality is, we get plus 85 points of advantage because we're elite, and we have a general in there as well, so we get another plus 50. So these are very, very strong. In the melee, once they sort of get into it, you'll see that it'll sort of diminish a lot from this sort of charging ability, backing through what they end up doing. We do actually have, you've got the levy spearmen. These are going to be even worse again. If I just control click on those. These are undrilled heavy foot, unmaneuverable. These are just raw quality. Their actual points of advantage are going to be very, very weak. Troop quality get nearly 25 points of advantage. So the troop quality does play a big role. And so the AI has positioned them in behind to so that they don't sort of play much of a role. We also have at the back through here, this is actually Wiemund de Beck, their commander-in-chief. If he ends up failing in this, like if he ends up in trouble, he will end up, he can get killed. So he can actually sort of then, it can impact the front of our game as well. So we've got early spearmen through there. We've got 3 good spearmen, 2 bad spearmen, and then we've got medium foot. Really, the game is going to be won by our cavalry, so I'm going to move all of the cavalry up. So these are all early knights and sergeants. So I'm just going to move that one up to there. This one here is in control of these 2. I'm going to make it so that it's in control of those 3. So if I just go across and right click on this one through here, hang on, I can't do that one. So switch selected unit to this unit's command. So I'm going to put that under that guy's command there. That one, they should be both together. I'm going to move that one up as well. I'm thinking of putting Weemond. Yeah, if we leave Weemond in this force and then just leave him floating around on this side as well. This is the only place I can sort of position them. A bit of a run through the middle there. Let's just move the cavalry out this way, and ultimately probably need to follow up with these guys on the flanks. I'll just leave them there, mainly to supplement the javelin men. So we can end up sort of like, once we end up on a hill, probably end up sort of in through here somewhere, or maybe even further across. But we'll try to keep our lighter forces on top of the hill, and we'll try to control the hill through our cavalry. So that will be sort of how we then go and do it. The look of the game as well, I always like to just mention the overall look. I really like it, but it's based on tabletop. If I go Shift 3, I can then sort of get down nice and low. And so the terrain is as if it's been painted, like it's painted on just on masonite or on some sort of board. And the units themselves also have that same sort of look. And so it's done on purpose. It's not done because it's trying to make it look crappy. They're trying to make it look like the tabletop side of things, and I really like that. Even the trees are done that way, which is really, really cool. So it's just for me, I really like the way that they have sort of presented this game. Okay, let's just move around. So we don't know where the enemy is. They're going to be sort of sitting up over this other side, but this will be fine for us. We can't go out. We don't have any skirmisher units, so we can't sort of move out to there. They possibly will have skirmishers, which means we're going to have to round them up with our cavalry to start with, and then just try to create like a bit of an anvil with this group of spearmen. So let's go across and. So actually, so Sev was saying, the yellow is the vassal of the nation. I don't think there was any vassals. I don't think that was it. So I don't think we actually see that one through there. So did I see it right that you can dismount cavalry? You can. I don't know if we can do it now. Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can. So we can, at this stage, we can actually, if we decide that we wanted to have like stronger swordsmen in the fight, I don't know if I can bring them back if I do it. It would be interesting, wouldn't it? Knights and sergeants. Let's do it with one, just see what we end up with getting. And so these end up being undrilled heavy foot. Oh yeah, we can remount. Okay, so what these end up doing, if we control click on these, so these are undrilled heavy foot. So similar to our spearmen. These are offensive spearmen, though. The difference is the other ones are defensive. Offensive spearmen are good at attacking. They're still elite. So they've got, and again, they just have these spearman abilities rather than anything else. But I'm gonna remount them. So we'll keep them on horseback. Yeah. So Delbert's saying yes. This is clearly a tabletop miniatures game. Yes, and so. Kingdoms came out of, essentially out of the tabletop experience as well. But Kingdoms is a full-blown strategy game. It's a full-blown 4X, essentially. Not 4X in the traditional sense, but it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's sort of like a grand strategy game, whereas this is purely tactical combat. All right, so I think we've finished our I'll just move that one across. Deploy that one through there. I don't really need any more spearmen. These are going to be defensive spearmen. So if I control click on that one, these are defensive spearmen. If we unhook these knights, they become offensive spearmen, which allows them to charge in and not sort of they do a much better job of actually attacking as spearmen. Anyway, let's go and end our in that phase. So you're sure? Yes, we are. So what we're seeing through here is we're going to be able to smash our way through most of what they've got. So they've got some light crossbowmen at the front. This is their skirmish type unit. They've got medium militia down through there. So they're going to be fairly weak. They've got early spearmen, defensive spearmen down this way as well. Commander-in-Chief with the early spearmen. No knights at all. So this is going to be very, very easy for us. So all we need to do is just essentially just sort of move in with the basic force. So I'll just tell them to move on up. Now some of these are getting caught back in the rough terrain. These guys, I'm just going to move them up as well, and just get them ready to sort of come charging out the other side, and this one as well. Yeah, we're now seeing more over through here. We should be able to chase them down. They'll probably come up and try to affect us. Now I'm going to be wanting to move. I can't maneuver these. These are very heavily armoured knights. So these become with these sorts of knights. Some of the knights are lightly armoured or more lightly armoured, and they can actually manoeuvre a little bit during their phase. What we need to do is we need to give our knights a line of a charge or line of attack, and they can't deviate much off that. So where we're looking right now is we're sort of going to miss these guys. So I'm going to be moving one of my units back out to try to sort of deal with these guys a little bit while the others come charging through. I'm not seeing those peasants. There was peasants here, I think. But anyway, they're not going to be able to really stand up to much scrutiny of the knights itself. Of course, we're going to be doing the typical French knightly thing of just charging in. So naming units in this one, no, you can't do it unfortunately in this one. You can, I think. I don't know if you can do them in here, but no, you really can't. So unfortunately there's no DasTactic. No, they haven't moved off. Now I'm just going to undo that, because if I move to there, I don't have any real... If I do it that way, I'm still facing the right direction. Whereas if I move to there, I'm not. And that's one that's going to be moving sort of down the hill a little bit on that side, because I still want to be facing the right way. I will actually move these out. I'll move this one up to here. And we can change the facing. See how I can change the facing there? I'm going to do that just so that we end up a little bit further across. And similarly in here, I want to avoid those spearmen with my cavalry, but I still want to put pressure on them with my foot soldiers here. So move that one up. These have all got to, we've got to get past this this area through here. Then we have rough terrain there. We're going to probably have to charge the centre with these. So we'll move all of this one up, or the whole stack. That rough terrain is going to be a bit of a problem for us. So we may have to sort of try to roll things up as we go through. Just move these. Now I can move them across. Shuffle across, but I think I'm just going to move them straight up. Got some on the heights, some down low. So they can attack me like this while and that's actually was fairly effective with what they had done. I can charge that one. It's going to then charge back this way. I can charge that one, and it's going to charge it straight through there, which I will do. I didn't keep on charging. I can do this one as well. I'm going to run. We didn't get to catch them at all. And then we've got the medium militia in through here. Now, I'm just going to go and place this one on the top. And I will change the facing here again, just to come charging into the middle now. These guys need to sort of stay on the hill. I can charge that one. This one's actually out in open ground, which means that I won't be able to really chase it down much. So I'm going to, there's no real effect here. I think I may move one of these back across the other way, but in the meantime, we're just going to leave these with two between. So I may, actually maybe even one. I really don't mind if they attack me. So I'm going to move that one into there. We'll change the facing. That one into there and change the facing. Having the generals nearby allows them to change their facing like this. If I move to there, I'm already then in the right facing, and I want to bring this one across to now start to bring across the front. These, we're just going to keep on moving forward. May even move them slightly across now, like just bring them just one across. I'm not going to be able to re-change. Actually, I can change those. They're medium. That's why. Can't do it with the heavies. So the heavies can't do it. I'm going to move them off to this other side to sort of help over this other side over here. Okay, that's everyone now sort of ready for the combat. So our knights are in a good position, but they're going to still suffer a little bit with the with these crossbowmen. They may be able to do enough damage to our knights to cause some serious issues. Yeah, that's big numbers. The spearmen are starting to now get ready to support the others. I'll try to explain how the tabletop rules here work as well in terms of zones of control. And we're holding on firm, but we're being challenged here. So we see how this is becoming ragged. We've actually lost a lot of abilities back into this other side. I'm going to charge this one. And we went far enough, actually, to hopefully stay out of the way of these. All right, let's have a look and see the different units we've got. We've got medium militia coming back in through here. We've got medium militia there, and we've got medium militia there. This one can charge into either this one or this one. We'll look at that one in a little bit of time. Back over here, we do actually have the spearmen. The spearmen here will be putting pressure on the ground out. If I press G, we then sort of have a look at the grid. And so in this case, they're going to be putting pressure on. Like I can't really charge across the front there. So you can see there that these are putting pressure on these two squares, that particular unit there, which means I can still charge across at these, which will give me a flanking shot against that group there. So I can still actually avoid the pressure being put on by this unit to still get in and charge down this crossbowman. I will take that now. So I'm just going to go and charge in, and we should get a flanking shot against one of the others. No, we didn't actually go far enough to do it. If I can now catch up with this one, which I can't really do that, I can charge into here, and I've still got this one here which can charge in as well. I'm going to do this charge down the hill, so this is going to be a fairly big charge. These guys are going to be left out in the open. They can't maneuver around to do any sort of flanking shot. These are just medium all the way through, so we have an advantage against these. So let's just go and do this. You can see there the impact phase, we have 86%, and even in melee phase, we still actually have a 21% chance to win. But this one here is going to be good, so we'll just charge. And it became disrupted, so that's actually dropped one of its cohesion levels, which means that the next turn it's going to be even stronger. And I'm going to charge this one as well. This is again high impact. And that one they did hold on so they didn't actually drop at all. So next turn it's going to be a bit more even. These guys could come up and actually attack us, but then the goal here is that we then start to spin around the outside edge with some of these. So I want to start to put pressure on the attacks if there are any attacks. So if they came up and tried to get like a flanking maneuver on this group here fighting, then we should be able to then put pressure on their flank, which is sort of what we want to be doing here. So we are now rolling things up. So again, if we move our medium up against their medium, if I move it into there, we're going to end up essentially looking down at them. I think we'll charge in here as well. These are just medium militia. And they did hold on. And we'll charge. I can charge that one as well, but I'm going to charge this one. And they held on as well. That's a bit unlucky for us. We're doing damage there. So what we need to do now is move up and put pressure. So I can move both of these up. Now that one's going to then be facing the wrong way. What I can do is I can move up and just see, can I still rotate? I can. So let's go and do that. That puts pressure on that unit. So then allows me to then do this one and still come down where I can still start to then make other maneuvers across the other side. And this one here, we're probably going to be wanting to keep this one pretty much in the middle. Now these are the early spearmen. These are not going to be maneuverable, but I will sort of push them in this way. So they're going to be facing sort of the wrong way, but we're sort of going to roll them up. So next phase we're going to be able to then start to compress them in and then use our cavalry to hopefully sort of round them up. Just press tab, everyone's moved, so we'll just end our turn here. It's retreating. They're going to try to change their facings so that they can protect themselves. It's going to hurt. Now we've become disrupted there. It's because of what they've been doing. They can't fire at anything that's actually engaged like this. And we should still win. There we go, we did disrupt them, that's good. But the odds are no longer as much. We've become fragmented. So, was it them? No, it was them, sorry. We'll do this one as well. And they became disrupted. So we now have big advantages. See how this one's now facing the other way? It takes a turn for it to change, and we've fragmented that as well. And so we're sort of fighting down the hills. These guys here, I'm just going to move them around. And we can then rotate, and so they can come in and sort of lend support this way. When we've got a unit that's fragmented like this, their ability to attack is really, really diminished. So they're going to run very, very soon, and that way we're going to get a roll on in our attacks. Now, they're not in this guy is not in the rough. He's in open ground. If he was in the rough, it would be harder for us to then attack with the cavalry. But let's just go and fight this one. This one should run. Nope, it's just stayed where it was. This one's only disrupted, so we get still a fairly big advantage. We're on the hill, charging down the hill. Oh, there we go, it's broken. We may charge the rear of this one now as well. And so we've hit that one there. That one's now been broken. That's now 8% of their forces are now running. They've held firm. Actually, we didn't charge. They then also collapsed. We do actually charge into this one. So there's a lot. The roll on, when a unit breaks, it then forces everything around it to do a morale check. This one succeeded with the morale check. The other one didn't. It was already fragmented, which means it broke as well. That then released this unit. Let's come charging down. And now these guys are now continuing on their attack. So this is sort of like a roll-on effect from that one attack. And so this is an impact. So the early knights against the early spearmen. This was indecisive. So they managed to hold on. But then we did one there. And this is actually where we ended up having the charge into their mediums. But we then roll back so we can do another impact phase. If we could see how strong the impact phase was. Now they're in a position to be able to come back in and do a flanking attack on my general there, which is not good. So I'm going to that's going to then mean that we'll end up suffering a negative in that point. If they had stayed in the fight, he would have protected this general. But at the moment, there's now that we can be flank attacked in through here, unfortunately. Nothing I can do about that. I do actually have, this is interesting, because these spearmen are facing this way, they put pressure on this unit. This unit can't go and attack these light crossbowmen, even though I'd like to. It can only attack the commander-in-chief. So let's do that one last. This one here can attack the light crossbowmen, which will then force them off. If I can move into this location and put pressure back on that one, I can sort of do other things, but let's just go and attack. So they're going to evade. We come charging in, and we charge again. And we're sort of charging the flank of those militia. So we've got all of these now sort of coming in different angles. Let's go and attack this guy. So these are just light crossbowmen. They'll do the same thing, and then we should get a flanking charge against this one in here. Oh, they couldn't evade, so they've been caught there. So they're broken. When a light unit breaks, it doesn't do any. There's no roll-on effect unless there's other light units around it. So it's dispersed because it can't actually move through. That then gives me opportunities in through here. I'm going to, if I attack up the hill, we still have an advantage against these mediums using our general here in this particular group. I could also attack this way, where in the impact phase we have a success, but not in the melee phase. So let's go this way, where we can ultimately, hopefully, sort of just keep the attack going in. And that's fine. Now, at the moment, he's still facing the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to attack with these guys. I'm just going to leave them to ultimately do a flanking attack next turn. So I'm not going to do the attack, because when I do the flanking attack, that will then force that one to collapse. And I can't really do anything with this one through here. So I'm not even going to move it back. I'm just going to keep it where it is. But I don't want to put pressure on this one just yet until we have the flank exposed here. So that's going to be what we do. These, we may end up with other opportunities here, because we're going to be sort of rolling through these. And that's going to, that didn't break. Just need one of these to break, and then we're sort of going to have like a lot of opportunity. But that's broken. Now we'll go charging off. We may charge into these. They're evading. Charge, and we caught up with them. And so they've now been smashed. They've been fragmented. We can now do the same thing through here. Like, I don't need to really swing them back to help out in this other area. So let's just charge them off the field. And we did pick them up, and they're fragmented as well. So we've now caught up with them. Even though we're disrupted, we're still fighting effectively. But we did lose a fair few of our knights in that particular run. Now this one here with with these guys, you can see there that if we end up in melee with these guys, we're going to be in a bit of trouble. So I'm just going to turn to face them. That way, if we get attacked, we're going to run backwards. So against spearmen, we don't do very well. So we'll leave that where that is. They can't do anything. I think everyone has now pretty much moved. And unfortunately, we've left this open, so we can't really do anything else there. Oh, this one here. I will actually move this one across just to soak up some damage from these crossbowmen. Okay, so that's you can see there the power of the spearmen. Like with us trying to go in and do this one, the impact phase we win a little bit, but the melee phase we don't. So yeah, this will be interesting to see. Like, this is not going to be good for us. Routing. Actually, they didn't. Oh, they actually wanted to protect themselves. Our units have fallen back against these spearmen. This is fine, but they've now changed their facing, which we'll have a look at in just a minute. That one should break. Yep, there it goes. Who will it take with it? They all held firm. That one became disrupted. That's broken. And we charged into the woods, unfortunately. That should break as well. Yep, there we go. We're up to 40% now, so this is pretty much where we need to be to win the game. And we did charge them now as well. They're fragmented and they're broken as well. We're now at 44%. So our forces have now run through their forces. We've lost a fair few knights with that attack. There we go. Enemy has lost heart, you're victorious. So because we got over the 40%, that then sort of wins the battle for us. But we did lose a few knights in the process. So we'll just click on close. And that was good. We lost 115 men. So we're going to close medieval and launch kingdoms. Yes, we do. So instead of playing the in-game auto battler, we can play it outside in Field of Glory Medieval. People have a question about whether with the new DLC, can you play all of the factions? And my understanding is you can. Like if you've just got the base game for Field of Glory Medieval, you will be able to play any battle essentially, except for there are some battles you can't do. Like when we charge the city, we're not going to be able to hold on with that one. So anyway, that's where we are. So we're just going to go and load back in. I can just import the most recent Field of Glory 2 Medieval battle result and continue the kingdom scenario. So Seth was saying, well, the result was way better what the auto combat did. Yes, it was. The auto combat actually ultimately was better for me. But anyway, it is what it is. So we sort of smashed those, but you can see there we've got some of our knights have taken like we've lost a bit of effectiveness with some of our knights. This one's lost hit points as well. So our knights have all suffered a little bit through here. The other forces have been okay. They were the ones that suffered in the previous attack. Anyway, that's all good. So we'll end that one off with Naples. Yes, we are up in the top rung now. We can start to try to get progress tokens. So that's Naples now knocked out of the war because they don't have any walls, so their city is unprotected. Alright, so our authority is now nice and high, so we can start to sort of spend that if we need to. Only if we need to. Alright, so that's good. So this is now part of our faction. I'm just going through each of these. Battle's been fought, so we can sort of see the result there again. Our authority as a nation has been bolstered, so we got +1 through there as well. That was good. One of our war goals has been conquered, so we ended up with some legacy points. So that's another bonus that we end up getting. This is why you do want to have, you want to have claims everywhere, basically. Great victory. We have gained Naples, which is the seat of power of Naples. Their treasury has been plundered, although not everything was there. So we only got 68 money. We've got from the grip of Naples, do we rest? Naples conquering it for our realm, and then we've got in the reign of Humphrey of Hauteville, claimed the region Naples and pledged allegiance to. Yep, okay, so they're now firmly on our side. Now we've got this one here. Well, besieging Salerno did not manage to. Now this is on our way through. We're going to need to go back. and do different things in through there. Now, there's a few other things we can actually have a look at in the game as we sort of start to come back through. So Naples is actually in a different region. So Naples, we don't have control. We only have control over the one little area of Naples. We do actually have a spear maker in through here. So this is one we can't auto build anything in through this other one. We have to do it manually. So we'll just go and do this one. Now let's have a look and see what's going on with it. We've got 2 farmers. The food is going back at -1, but we'll be out of that province with our army pretty much next turn. We've got village roads. We are sort of trying to build things up in through here as well, and we do actually have an anchorage, but I think it's being besieged. So we've got the freemen working in through there as well to try to get commerce. We do actually have the Catholic clergy, and then we've got the now we do actually have an unrest in here as well. So we've got, this is a open plain, fortification level 0, local authority 7. So it's a fair way away from. It says distance to the nearest capital. It says very close, but it's not going to be great. So we're actually only 2 away. That's not too bad away. So we won't worry about that one so much. The loyalty and revolt risk. So this one here's revolt risk is only 4%, which isn't too bad. And building slots, we've got 2. Yeah, we've got essentially got a heap of them we can sort of make use of. So we do actually have a cattle ranch, village roads, anchorage, and a spear maker. If we just go across to see what buildings we can then go and make, so we can get a poultry farm, which will then give us extra food. Missing bonuses of food from grain and flax, so we don't actually have anything else in there. A well. This is going to give us health and infrastructure. It does give us siege resistance there a little bit as well. We've got the Trader's Burrow. So missing bonuses there. We do get 10 money from that one. This is a discrete hamlet, so we don't use any slots for this one. Change the fortification level by +1 points. Check your fortification level in the corresponding indicator in the region panel. So in that case, the fortification level that we have is 0. So this would give us a little bit of extra. Temporary can be removed at the end of the turn. So we can actually build that one now, essentially. So its structure is temporary and can be removed at the end of the turn. If there's a modifier, it will last 15 to 30 turns, though. So it's not really going to help us all that much. Then we've got the scribe back in through here. Piety goes down. Then we've got the storyteller, where money goes up slightly. I mean, that's still a. It's certainly not nothing. We don't really need it. The Trader's Burrow. If I just go back to the anchorage for a second. Just got to open up one of these. But if I go to Trader's Burrow and just have a look at the Trader's Burrow. So, what does it do? So Trader's Burrow, missing bonus in through there, provides 5 population, requires 5 population or more. Trader's Burrow unlock extra commerce buildings in the region, which will provide a significant increase in money income. So maybe we'll go that way. We'll start to maybe sort of focus on the on doing this one, because it does then open up. It opens up a trader's district. We end up with all these different other sorts of shops that can then come in as well. So the a candle shop allowed by the Trader's Burrow, allowing a total of 26 buildings. So all of those different buildings can then be brought in by the Trader's Burrow. So I think that's actually a good one for us to go with. We have another freeman there, which we can actually bring down as well. So I think I'll actually build that. So we'll get that one built. 8 turns. We'll just keep everything else where it is for now. So that will help. I'm going to move. So at the moment we've got blockaded. The harbour of this region is blockaded and won't provide any production or siege resistant bonus. So it'll just be there for one more turn. Forced assimilation. This region is being forcibly assimilated into the ruling nation due to the power vacuum left by the previous ruler's disappearance. And so regional loyalty penalty of 20, food penalty of 15. So there's going to be different penalties here, but that'll only last 5 turns. And then we actually have claim. So we did have a claim on that particular one. If we have a look back at our claims. At the moment we've got the only other one we have, so we now have Andria and Naples, and we have Salerno, which is now going to be the next target for us. So we're going to go back in and besiege I was if my cavalry was actually that's Papal States. We'll just go back to my army. Yep, so this one in through here. So I want these guys to come to be better before I actually do any sort of attacking. So I'm just going to move back in and start besieging again, rather than going and attacking the actual city itself. That's going to be too hard, I think. So we'll just go back and start to sort of lay siege. What else do we have in through here? So Appalucia agreed that some peasants in Andria will acquire their own land or workshops under the wise rule of Humphrey. So so that's actually, we've got two different messages in through there. And that's been okay as well. That's fine. Just leave that one there. So they can now start to become and besiege Salerno. What else is there we have to look at? We've got the ongoing war against Salerno, duration in turns 3, current war score 0. So click to focus on the nation, which you have the highest war score. So we'll just, again, that's what we're doing through there. One region is an unrest, which is Naples. Now, moving our army off there is going to make that a little bit more open, but we sort of have to do that one. So DasTactic has a loyalty of 38 and can make a coup as peer of the realm in Apulia. So click to focus on the region, yes, and that's not something we have to really worry about, but that's going to be essentially the uncle that's looking after this, could become disloyal. All right, we'll leave that one where that is. The next thing we want to have a look at is we can actually go back and have a look at the message logs for other things. So if we wanted to sort of see, for example, the histories of what's been going on in through here, I can then go into, this is explicit broadcast for our nation. I can do it for foreign, and then we can sort of start to sort of see other things. This is for this current turn. I can do it for all messages. I'll just do that, and I'll do it for previous turns. Now, are we seeing anything? I'm not really seeing much in there. I thought we would have, actually. Maybe I've done that run wrong. That's everything. New claim. Okay, so there should have been other information there. Why did we end up picking up a whole lot of other things? So we start to sort of see all sorts of like heretics and stuff like that in through here. I thought we would have seen information down in this one as well, but we actually are not. So let's go back through history. Just go back to that one there. Just go back to the defaults, that's okay. I thought we'd be able to sort of show a bit more of what's going on. So if we leave it on this one, we only get to see the messages from our side. So we don't get to see the heretics and things in the north. But we'll just keep on where we are. Time to keep on trying to get a claim there as well. Just keep that one going at this point in time. We pick up with a decisions. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, we'll move back. Now our forces will then need to replenish the troops that we're missing, so they'll end up sort of like we'll see negatives in some of the other like money and manpower and so on and so forth. See there, our numbers are coming up from 109 to 122. Oh, we're right on the bottom edge where we are. The Byzantines have actually, that's interesting, they've gone up, but after getting 3 of the aging tokens. Hostiles. So what that one does, this decision is assured to remove one impediment representing outlawed. Okay, this is cool, and we haven't had a good look at this actually to see what's coming. The impediments are new in the game. They were part of Empire, Philoglory Empires, which was more the ancient one. But they've now reintroduced them again. So we do actually have impediments in different locations. So if we have anything that's going, actually that's interesting. That one's ragged. It's Papal States Army that's struggling there for some reason. There's no wars. Now we're going to start besieging this. What I want to do is, before I attack, okay, my armies are still not at 100%, but they're not too bad. Yeah, their hit points are still low there. We'll just let them come back up to full strength. So one more turn before we then go and attack. Actually, we can rename. We can rename them. I didn't realise we could, but we can. So yeah, we could have done renaming, but I don't think we will. We won't do that in this case. What we've got through here is a big group of peasants, essentially. They do actually have they've got a good stack there. Actually, that's interesting. And then a navy as well. So the king is defends at 2, attacks at 1. Let's just starve them out for a little bit of time. We do have to keep our on top of our war score. We're now in 4 turns in. We got up to 16. So we might just sit here and besiege for a little bit of time. Do I bring in another spearman? I'm just concerned about the metal production. I mean, I could bring in mercenaries. Another group of Norman mercenary knights would be quite expensive. Which ones are they? Yeah, it's too high for us. Yeah, no, I won't worry about it. We can't sustain it, so that's not going to be helpful. We'll just let it go for a little bit longer. See if we can actually sort of run the siege down a little bit. Unfortunately, they've only got one war. It's unbreached at this stage. So besieged, unbreached war, 1 of 1. The attacker has got we've got some siege value. We've got 19. We do actually have leadership bonus of 12 back into this other side. And so they've actually got some of their siege resistance of the defending units is 20. They do actually have the siege resistance of structures of 26. So it's negative 25 in terms of what we're doing through here, which is just going to mean that it's going to take a long time. But we'll do it for a few turns. We certainly want to get our forces up a bit stronger. So if we went with... if we have a look back at these units again. Siege value of 3. It's just not going to do enough. We've got to get 25 somehow, and that's just too much. So we won't worry about that one. We'll end up assaulting this. I've got to get going fairly soon anyway, so we'll do that as the last thing that we do. So T5 Cats is saying in Songs of Conquest, auto battle most of the time. Sometimes there's heavy losses, sometimes lighter, depending on the enemy types. We can't play city assault in medieval. We have to do that in game here, and it's going to have a much smaller frontage, so it could be interesting. So you're saying, can you please tell your opinion about this game? How is it different from EU4? Oh, very different. extremely different. In terms of the combat is not abstracted, whereas in EU4 or Crusader Kings, you're much more focused on the actual interplay of the ruling faction, and so even though you're sort of you're getting advances in I haven't played EU for a bit of time, but you're trying to get breakthroughs in technology. There's none of that in this game. Like you are in the era that you're in, and different things will sort of come at different times. But this is much more about getting the balance of your actual army. So this is the main focus of the game, in my opinion, or one of the main focuses is the fact that you've actually got to maintain the way that your forces work. So with this siege that we're doing, it's not just abstracted numbers coming in. They're real units essentially that have a bearing on how the siege will perform. And so, for example, if we have a look at our leaders, our actual leaders that we actually have, and just see if there's anyone that has got any bonuses. Like this one's got Patron of the Arts, Administrator. They can't go into it. These two in here. This is the Uncle, Landowner, and Siege Expert. So this guy here, if I brought him in as a Siege Expert, so he has a siege bonus of +2. So each unit in the stack. So he can actually add 2 siege to all of the units, which is actually fairly substantial. That's 10 extra points. So it may be worth bringing him in as the commander and replace Wilmond at this point in time. In fact, Wilmond has gone backwards. His military, he's still offensive there. Offensive rating of 2, defensive rating of 2, but he is not. He does not have the. So this uncle that we've got here is actually reasonable, and it would actually do a better job of conducting this siege. So we could actually move him across. This is sort of where the game does differ a little bit in what these guys actually end up doing. This one here is Admired, Pious, and Tactician. Attack bonus of +1 for the entire stack. Defensive bonus of +1 for the entire stack, but only in open terrain. But this one here, the Siege Expert, we could actually bring him in. Now, I'll show you actually how this one works, because let's go and do it now. When we bring them in, it's going to unsettle our forces for a turn. And so let's do it, because getting the siege bonus, if we go back and have another look at this particular one, we can see -25 is what we currently have there. So if I go to the actual army, that's theirs, to go into Wilmond in through this other side and go and replace him. So I can go and replace him with our Siege Expert, which is Guillemund back and through here. So he's the only real one that would be worthwhile in this instance. Actually, were we in open terrain? Just let me have a quick look and see. That's a hill. So even like we don't get any bonuses with anyone else, but we don't want to be switching everyone out. Like if we have a look at the actual army itself that we actually have, you can see there that there's all these different extra bonuses that they end up getting. Like we've got 2 stars back and through here with the experience, and so these are all these are now becoming quite accustomed to being ruled by Wilmond. But if we go to Wilmond and then just change it over, we're going to lose some of those stars. So if we just go back across, and see how we're down to 1 star? We've lost a star on all of those different units. Now, this is more temporary than anything, but he's now the Siege Expert coming back in, and so he's going to hopefully sort of move this siege. Our numbers have dwindled off a little bit because we've lost those stars, but the siege value is actually it's -29 now. I'll watch what happens next turn, see if that actually does change. But that's actually now even gone even worse. That shouldn't be the case. 19. I'll just see what happens if we end our turn. There's like a turn where it's a bit unsettled. We'll see what happens in through here. And it's a bit of luck whether you can then break the walls or not. Still processing the turn. You're sort of saying you change the general, so -1 star per unit. Yes, that goes down, and then it should come up again in a turn or so, just as they get used to him. So we've now gone backwards a little bit, that'll still be okay. Naples is now in turmoil with marauders appearing in many places at once. It feels like a coordinated effort. So authority's been lost there. That's why we went down with the authority. So that's a bit of a problem. We did not secure Salerno, one of our war goals, and its value has thus been lowered, now worth 57 legacy points. So now that we've gone beyond we're now into turn 5. Seeking new regional decision, forced march. And so our numbers here, let's just see what actually is happening now with our forces. So they've got their forces back up again. So their stars have now come back up. Looks like we're still got hit points that are lowish in these two in here. Yeah, see how this siege is now -10. So we're actually better off with the siege. But it's still, so this is actually if we're going to hover around here for any length of time. I'm going to have to attack this, I think. Although, let's just see how we go. It's still going to last a long time. We don't have any, but our actual siege bonuses have gone up with the various units. And so it's almost worth now thinking about bringing another unit in. But I won't do it just yet. That'll go for another turn, I think, and just sort of see if we can breach this wall. So it's sort of a bit random with the way it does work. So can you make some cheap boat to help with the naval blockade? Where do we have that sort of construction? They're blockading us. So I don't think we're going to be able to fight that, to be honest. I think we've got an anchorage over here. I don't think we can actually build boats at this point in time, because we don't actually have we don't have any of the locations to do it. Do you have an anchorage there? It's not going to be enough for us to build what we need. Like they've got full-on shipyards and protected harbours and things. So no, it's not going to work. I'll let it go one more turn, and then I've got to finish off this session anyway, so I'll just go in and I'll play one more turn out, see if we can get our hit points back a little bit. Now back into here, there's nothing much in there. So we're blockaded there. We do have this impediment, these are just wolves. Just having a look to see if there's any other impediments that we can get rid of. Badlands. No, that's okay. All right, we'll end our turn again. Just see if we can get the siege done. Yeah, they've got now we've got we only have two combat against theirs, so I'm just going to go and I'll just skip the battle. So we are going to have to finish this off now. We've sort of screwed up by not leaving anyone behind there. So Naples is in revolt. But let's charge in no matter what now to try to take over Salerno. We'll have to get rid of those rebels. Yeah, we're down the bottom here again now. We'll just go charging in. This is not a good idea to do this, but let's just see how we go by actually forcing it through here. Do have to get going, so we'll just move. We're going to now charge in. These guys still got 3 hit points there. We still don't have what we want. So we're going to, this one is still got the siege up, so we're just going to go in, and this time we're going to assault. So we're going to assault the fortified structures. Next turn, let's just end our turn there. So I won't go through all the stuff that's actually happening. And this one will possibly be a failure to us, even though we've got like a big army. So we can't export this particular battle out. So you can see export battle has now been turned off. We can't do that one through there. All we can do is view it. So we have, they've got 17 units defending. We're attacking with only 10, there are 10 units. The combat power is not that dissimilar with what's going on. So we'll just go and view the battle. And so the frontage is small because we've got the small gate. And so this is not going to work out well for us, I don't think. Let's just go and have a look at the start of the battle. We have the range phase. We don't have any. And so they've got bonuses in through here. I should have switched the other guy back out if I was going to do the assaults to get the extra die roll. We're attacking with 1 and he's defending with 2. So this is not going to go well for us. Oh, that's not good at all. Stalemate. So the first one is going to be, like that first run is going to be, actually got pursuit. Oh, they beat us. Yeah, because they did so much damage. So we lost 2 of our units, and so that was not good. They also get bonuses by being inside the walls, and so that didn't work out well for us. We lost 2 of our raw early spearmen, or 2 spearmen units basically. So that was not good. Yeah. So it's anyway. Like I won't keep on playing, but that's is. Yeah, we can continue the siege, but now we're quite badly weakened. So I wouldn't have done that particular attack because it was just that we're running out of time. It would have been better for me to hold on until we're really at the end of the war score era that we have to then sort of go with. Yeah, so we're now in the bottom. So yeah, we've sort of we've run our empire into the dirt a little bit here. So yeah, this is we were sort of playing as with one of these sort of more warrior-like things. We have to sort of stick in the actual in the combat of what we're doing. If I had have gone in with the other general, we may have done a little bit better with the 2 attacks rather than just the 1. But yeah, we're sort of struggling here. Anyway, guys, I do have to call it quits here, so I'm just going to leave it at this point. But that was a bit of a failure run, but it was still fun nonetheless. It was pretty cool, actually, you know, getting the claims and so on and so forth. We do now have the rebels back and through there, so we do need to ultimately go and just try to destroy these if we can at some point. But yeah, we've got a little bit of work to do. Anyway, I'll catch you guys next time or tomorrow. I would imagine. I'll see you later.